Chapter 1065. In front of the three emperors' palace, the 100 races challenged the might of the heavenly demonic emperors. The young geniuses walked out one after another, challenging the invincible legend of the royal family. The 13 princes and princesses of the heavenly demonic royal family were shockingly strong. Even the weakest one had the power of the heavenly demonic bloodline. The princes and princesses who had reached the 6th change of the heavenly demonic realm were extremely powerful. Almost no one in the same realm could defeat them. Facing the power of the princes and princesses of the heavenly demonic race, the geniuses of the 100 races lost one after another. Even the best of the 100 races couldn't defeat the heavenly demonic royal family. Ningchen didn't participate in the next dozens of battles. Because of his amazing performance in the first battle, no one dared to challenge him anymore. Similarly, as the crown prince Xianzhen had the highest cultivation in the royal family, no one dared to challenge him. He was close to the peak of the king realm. Even the kings of the 100 races couldn't defeat him. Battle after battle proved the power of the heavenly demonic royal family. Even if Ningchen and the 3 crown princes didn't participate, the 100 races couldn't win a single battle. Fearless resistance. In the small world of ice and snow, Xian Yu sent Yuan Tian of the ape race flying with one palm. Yuan Tian stumbled and landed on the ground. He barely managed to stabilize himself. Looking at the girl before him, he felt bitter. The difference in power was too big. Even though he had improved recently, he still couldn't fight back against the monsters of the heavenly demonic royal family. "I've lost." Yuan Tian admitted defeat helplessly. Xian Yu stepped forward and flew out of the small world, returning to her original position. Her expression didn't change at all from the beginning to the end. In the 47 battles, other than the draw between Tsang Ming and Xian Ling, the heavenly demonic royal family had won 46 battles. The terrifying results made the emissaries of the 100 races feel hopeless. They didn't expect that after so many years, the gap between them and the heavenly demonic royal family hadn't narrowed. Instead, it had widened. Was the heavenly demonic royal family really unbeatable? In front of the palace of 3 emperors, the 3 demon emperors stood quietly. Their bodies were surrounded by boundless multicolored light, and dense mist was floating up and down. The demon might that could shake the 9 heavens and 10 earths lingered around them. It was so powerful that it seemed unreal. Gradually, no one dared to challenge the heavenly demonic royal family anymore. Resistance without hope were meaningless. Xiao Xiao pondered for a moment when she saw that no one from the various clans had stepped forward. Then she strode forward. "Elder sister." Wana reached out and grabbed the former. She shook her head worriedly. "I'm fine." Xiao Xiao smiled and said, "I'll be careful." After saying that, Xiao Xiao didn't say anything else. She turned around and walked away. Devil Emperor. At the foot of the 9,000 stone steps, Xiao Xiao bowed gracefully. She looked at the 3 demon emperors in front of the 3 emperors' palace and said, "Your humble servant requests for battle." Not far away, Ningchen, the last of the princes and princesses, had a serious look on his face. In the end, they still walked out. "I challenge the 10th princess. Also, I have a presumptuous request." Under everyone's gazes, Xiao Xiao shifted her gaze to the princes and continued, "This subject's younger sister and the 13th prince are in love with each other. If this subject's younger sister is lucky enough to win this battle, I hope that the 3 devil emperors will grant them a marriage." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was shocked. Bestowing a marriage? What was going on? Was the Fox clan preparing to have a marriage alliance with the heavenly devil imperial family? The sudden shocking words shocked all the envoys of the 100 races. Even Ningchen was shocked. He didn't expect the Fox clan saintess to make such a shocking move. In front of the 3 emperors' palace, the 3 devil emperors were also shocked. The Fox clan princess and the 9th prince's disciple were going to have a marriage alliance? Why would the Fox clan make such a choice? Did the 9th prince know about this? Granted. A moment later, the first Kunyi demon emperor didn't hesitate anymore and agreed directly. Whether the 9th prince knew about this or agreed to it, they couldn't refuse the Fox clan saintess' request in front of the 100 races. "Xian Yu, you can't lose this battle." The 7 luminaries demon emperor said in a deep voice in front of the 7 luminaries imperial palace. Yes, father. Xian Yu replied. In front of the 8 desolation imperial palace, the 8 desolation demon emperor raised his hand and opened a small world. The forbidden land where the sun and moon were in the sky appeared. The small world had a harsh environment. There were shattered spatial fragments everywhere. It was like an abandoned land that could collapse at any time. Xiao Xiao and Xian Yu's figures flashed and turned into streams of light that shot into the sky. In the small world, the two appeared and looked at each other. They didn't exchange any pleasantries and immediately started fighting. The two silhouettes intertwined, each displaying a world-shaking ability. Their palms collided, destroying mountains and splitting rocks. Xian Yu, who was at the middle stage of the red dust realm, had a cultivation base that kept rising. Her heavenly demon secret technique was merciless and destroyed one mountain after another. Xiao Xiao didn't retreat in the face of such powerful attacks. Instead, she used the Fox clan's secret technique. Every move she made was as soft as steel. This woman isn't weak. The first demon emperor in front of the first Kunyi demon emperor said calmly while the two were fighting. Rumor has it that this woman is the 9-tailed fairy who only appears once in 10,000 years. If the rumor is true, it's not surprising that she has such strength. The 7 luminaries demon emperor replied in front of the 7 luminaries imperial palace. The Fox clan can attain the sovereign path if they cultivate to the 9-tailed fairy. Only the heavenly fairy who reaches the 9-tailed fairy has the bloodline of a sovereign path expert. Her potential is limitless. The 8 desolation demon emperor said, if this woman is really the 9-tailed fairy, then her strength shouldn't be limited to this. While the three were talking, the battle between the Sky Demon Princess and the Fox clan's Saintess had reached its climax. The two of them, who were close in strength, continued to exchange blows. End the battle quickly. Don't drag it out. At this moment, a majestic voice sounded in Xian Yu's ears. Hearing this, Xian Yu's expression turned serious. She flipped her palm and moved hundreds of feet away. Vast world demonic calamity. Xian Yu raised her hand and 10,000 demonic bolts of lightning struck the world. Xian Yu gathered her strength and demonic qi rushed into the 9 heavens. It was earth-shattering and shook the stars in the sky. The final move was shocking. The demonic qi continued to spread and the entire small world started to disintegrate. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Xiao Zhao's expression turned serious. She no longer hid her strength. With a long roar, the cultivation that had been sealed for 100 years was released. The next moment, the weather changed. 10,000 bolts of lightning struck the 9 heavens. Behind the Fox clan's Saintess, a huge demon fox phantom appeared. Its 9 tails swayed in the wind. The appearance of the 9-tailed demon fox shocked the envoys of the 100 races. After countless years, the legendary 9-tailed fairy had finally appeared in the Fox clan. In the small world, the auras of the Sky Demon and Saintess clashed. An unparalleled destructive force exploded and spread rapidly in all directions. The small world collapsed and everything within 100,000 miles turned into nothingness. A spatial storm swept out and swallowed everything. The final move stunned the world. The outcome was about to be decided. Below, among the envoys of the 100 races, a young man in a scarlet robe with gold gathered his thoughts. He glanced at the Chayun divine sword in his hand and said, "Now it's our turn." Chapter 1066. In the small world, the heavenly demon and heavenly fairy used their final moves. The demonic cycle lasted for 1,000 years. In the apocalypse, the 9-tailed wind aura appeared and faced the heavenly demon's attack head-on. The collision was beyond the limit. The small world collapsed and time and space were messed up. The huge impact destroyed the entire world in a few seconds. Arg! With a muffled groan, the two figures flew out. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. They were both heavily injured. The two seemed to be on par with each other, but the outcome was already decided. Sizzle! At this moment, there was the sound of clothes being torn. Blood spurted out from Xian Yu's chest. She stumbled back a few steps. Seeing this, the messengers of the 100 races were shocked. The heavenly demon royal family lost this round? In front of the 3 emperors' palace, the first Kunyi, 7 luminaries, and 8 barren demon emperors looked serious. Xianyu had lost. The 9-tailed heavenly fairy was indeed extraordinary. She was able to suppress Xianyu, who had the heavenly demon royal bloodline. At the 9,000 stone steps, Xianyu managed to stabilize herself. The demonic aura around her was messy. Xianjun moved. Before anyone could react, he came to Xianyu's side. He raised his hand, and the demonic aura entered her body to suppress her injuries. Soon, Xianyu opened her eyes. Looking at the person beside her, she said tiredly, "Thank you, first brother." "Go and treat your injuries," Xianjun said calmly. Xianyu nodded and followed Xianjun back to her seat. In front of the first Kunyi Emperor Palace, the first Kunyi Demon Emperor looked at the Fox Saintess and said, "You have won. I agree to what you said." "Thank you, Demon Emperor." Xiao Xiao suppressed her injuries and said softly. Xiao Xiao looked at her sister with a complicated expression. She sighed in her heart. This was all she could do. One saw the look in Xiao Xiao's eyes and did not know whether to be happy or worried. She understood her sister's good intentions, but this meant that Lord Ning had no other choice. Ning Chen remained silent and didn't refute him directly. Wana had saved his life. Even if he did not agree to their marriage, he could not refuse in public and hurt the dignity of this kind girl. In the west, the sun gradually moved westward. 10 days had come to a close. The battle between the celestial devils and the 100 races had finally won a hard-won victory. "It's over." Looking at the setting sun in the west, the emissaries all let out sighs of relief. There should not be any more accidents in the last 2 hours. Just as such thoughts flashed through everyone's minds, a purple-red figure inlaid with gold walked past, attracting everyone's attention. Among the princes, Ning Chen's expression turned serious. What was to come had finally come. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Ness Yao walked out. Looking at the 3 powerful figures in front of the 3 sovereigns' palace, he calmly said, "This subject requests for battle. I hope that the 3 devil emperors will grant my request." As he spoke, Ness Yao's eyes looked towards the silk-clothed figure not far away, and he calmly said, "13th Highness, shouldn't the matter between us come to an end?" Ning Chen sighed softly. He didn't shrink back and stepped forward. "At any time." Ning Chen agreed. Facing his former ally, he officially accepted the battle today. In front of the 3 sovereigns' palace, first Demon Emperor Kun looked at the young master of Sunrise Royal City below. His expression was filled with admiration. To be able to step into the king realm at such a young age, even his celestial devil imperial family couldn't compare to him. Even Xian Qing was 100 years behind him. "Granted." A dignified voice resounded, accepting the final battle. First Demon Emperor Kun looked at the 2 strongest people of the younger generation, and a strange look flashed past his eyes. He wanted to know who was the strongest person in this era as well. In front of the 7 planets and 8 desolation imperial palaces, the 2 devil emperors raised their hands together. Their devilish might gathered, and in the sky, a small world different from before appeared. It was a world where water and fire coexisted. Yin and yang coexisted, water and fire clashed. The small world created by the laws of the 2 sovereigns was shocking and breathtaking. Below, Ness Yao and Ning Chen soared into the sky, flying towards the small world in the sky. "Don't worry, he'll be fine." Beside one, a Xiao Xiao softly said. One lightly nodded, but the worry in her eyes was hard to conceal. Will young Master Ning be able to deal with a king realm expert? In the small world where water and fire coexisted, 2 figures descended from the sky. They stood at 2 extremes, and their auras continued to rise, growing stronger and stronger. The strongest opponents could not tolerate the slightest bit of carelessness. There was no need for small talk, as small talk was already unnecessary. The 2 who had unresolvable enmity moved, and their swords struck out. The dazzling sword light illuminated the world of water and fire. Crimson Serpent and Biyun revealed their sharpness at the same time, and the sound of their swords was like thunder. With a rumble, the 2 divine weapons clashed. Sword energy scattered in all directions like frost. Today, our enmity ends. I will make you pay with your life. The enmity was unresolvable. The divine sword in Ness Yao's hand shone dazzlingly like a divine sun. Sword cries resounded throughout the world of water and fire. On the other hand, Ning Chen's expression was solemn. His movements were abnormally calm, without the slightest flaw. Below, the crowd watched the battle, and thoughts constantly flashed past their minds. Without a doubt, this was the strongest battle of the younger generation, and there was no other. The two of them could be considered as peerless geniuses. One was the #1 king of the younger generation, while the other was an undefeated legend. Who was the true #1 of the younger generation? Timon, as light as water. Hatred, as deep as the ocean. The heroes of the past cherished each other, and today, they would not rest until one of them was dead. The two who stood at two extremes, their figures constantly intersected. Their swords collided, interweaving into a brilliant sword battle. 9 heavens beyond 3 lives sword. The secret art of the capital appeared, and the sound of the sword shook the 9 provinces. In Ness Yao's hand, the divine sword drew upon the power of wind and clouds. 3 world-shocking sword lights appeared, fusing with water and fire, and flowing with wind and lightning. Seeing this, Ning Chen pointed at his sword. Sword energy surged from his body, and the sword on the sword appeared once more. Avicii Heaven's Wail. The third watch of the King of Hell, the Azura of Hell appeared. Ning Chen gathered his sword and transformed it into the extreme. Devil energy fused with the extreme intent on the sword, and the Azura sword appeared once more. The two extremes appeared at the same time and collided with each other. In an instant, a terrifying destructive force rapidly spread out. The entire small world shook violently, and the sea of flames burned the heavens. In the turbulent aftermath, blood splattered. The two figures appeared at the same time, and their swords intersected. They would not rest until one of them was dead. The hands holding the swords were stained with blood. As the two swords clashed, blood kept splattering everywhere. However, the two people in the battle seemed to be unaware of it. As long as they held their swords in their hands, the battle would not stop. While the two were fighting fiercely, the 3 demon emperors were watching the battle from below in front of the 3 emperors' palace. They had different expressions. "Seventh brother, who do you think is the winner of this battle?" The 8 Desolation Demon Emperor asked. "The winner." The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor sneered and said, "No matter who wins this battle, there is no winner. If there is a winner, it will only be us, the Heavenly Devil Imperial family." The defeat of 9 Underworld's disciple was the result that countless people wanted to see, especially the nobles of the 3 Emperors' palace. Similarly, if 9 Underworld's disciple won, the impact of Xian Yu's defeat would be minimized. The identity of this disciple of 9 Underworlds is too suspicious. With such shocking attainments in swordsmanship, he shouldn't be unknown. Have the people we sent not found out his background yet? In front of the First Earth Emperor Palace, the First Earth Demon Emperor asked. "No." The 8 Desolation Demon Emperor replied, "When this kid appeared, he was in the territory of the Sunrise Royal City. Before that, there was no news about him." "That's strange." The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor said coldly, "Could it be that there's a sword supremacy in the remote eastern continent that we don't know about? If the kid doesn't have a master, there's no way he could achieve such shocking accomplishments." "It's not impossible." The 8 Desolation Demon Emperor replied, "Over the years, many people have obtained the inheritances of the ancient era or even the primordial era. Every time they appear, they amaze the world. This kid might be one of them." In front of the First Earth Emperor Palace, the First Earth Demon Emperor nodded lightly. It was indeed possible. In this great era, there were always amazing geniuses appearing. For example, the successor of the Howling Moon clan, the Holy Lady of the Fox clan, and this young man from the Sunrise Royal City. Such a glorious era had never been seen before. The light of the successors of the imperial families was overshadowed by the other sky prides. It was almost impossible for this to happen in other eras. While the 3 emperors were chatting, in the small world of water and fire in the sky, there were raging waves. Two streams of light crossed each other rapidly. Each time they collided, huge waves would be set off. Heavenly opening, rising sun. The battle reached its climax, and the way of the emperor appeared. 9 divine suns circled around Yu Yao's body. The extreme 9 moves converged into one. The rising sun soared into the sky, and the heavenly opening appeared. It was a world-shaking move, and its might was so terrifying that it was shocking. Within the rising sun, a 3-legged golden crow appeared. As it flapped its wings, golden flames burned the sky. When the emperor revealed his might, the heavens and earth cried out. Seeing this, Ning Chen's expression turned solemn. The scarlet chain in his hand disappeared, and he concentrated his energy. 9 transformations shocked the world. Black devilish flames spread out, and the devilish might continued to rise. The 9 underworlds battle technique shocked the world. Mystic release flew out, and 9 streams of light gathered, turning into a black devilish sword. Endless devilish might swept across the 9 heavens. Sword art, doomsday heavenly punishment. Augmented by flying swan, the sword might that was several times stronger slashed apart the heavens and earth. The surging devilish flames were like a devilish dragon emerging from the sea, swallowing the heavens and earth. The way of the emperor devil-slaying sword. The 2 small worlds, one golden and one black, collided violently. A huge explosion comparable to the apocalypse resounded. The terrifying shockwave instantly destroyed the terrain within several tens of thousands of miles. Mountains sank, seas fell, and lava soared into the sky. Water and fire mixed together, and a large amount of mist soared into the sky, filling the small world. Drip. In the sky, a drop of blood fell from the sky, falling into the surging waves. It was so faint that it was almost inaudible. In the blink of an eye, it was swallowed by the waves. The outcome has been decided. In front of the 3 emperors' palace, the first demon emperor retracted his gaze and said indifferently, "Unexpected but expected." The 8 desolation demon emperor said calmly. At this moment, in the 9 underworlds king's palace, a terrifying devilish light that shook the 9 heavens shot into the 9 heavens. The shocking scene immediately attracted everyone's attention. 9 underworlds. The 8 desolation demon emperor was shocked. He said, "He finally succeeded." In the next moment, devilish clouds gathered above the 3 emperors' palace, and a huge devilish shadow appeared. The vast devilish might shook the entire primordial demon realm. The sudden change shocked all the forces. The emperor path. The Sky Devil Imperial family had a 4th emperor. In the sky above the 9 underworlds king's palace, a purple figure appeared. He looked at the small world in the distance and said calmly, "Give me a reason." Chapter 1067. The situation above the 3 emperors' city changed. 9 underworlds proved his sovereign Tao, and his demonic aura shocked the entire primitive devil realm. Several sovereigns opened their eyes and looked in the direction of the 3 emperors' city. Their hearts were filled with shock. 9 underworlds king, he finally took this step. When a sovereign proved his Tao, heaven and earth shook. Demonic aura spread for 90,000 miles. Colorful lights rose endlessly. In the 3 emperors' palace, in the small world of water and fire, a white-clothed figure descended from the sky. His right arm was dyed red. The outcome was clear. Not far away, the 3-legged golden crow transformed. In the golden flames, a young figure appeared. The aura of a sovereign was immeasurable. In the next moment, before the 3 emperors' palace, demonic aura swept out. A purple figure walked out. Looking at the disciple who descended from the small world, he said, "You shouldn't have lost." "I'm not good enough. I've embarrassed Master." Ning Chen said softly. The profound solution 9 transformations in his hands scattered, turning into 9 streams of light that entered his body. 9 underworlds king looked at him quietly. After a moment, he said calmly, "Go back and heal your wounds." "Yes." Ning Chen bowed respectfully, and then returned to his position. In the void, Ness Yao, who was covered in golden divine flames, descended from the sky. The murderous intent in his cold eyes burned brighter. However, in front of the four sovereigns, he suppressed his impulse and returned to his position. There was no point in winning this battle. In the west, the sun had set. 10 days had passed, and the last chance of the 100 races had disappeared. The appearance of the fourth sovereign meant that the heavenly devil imperial family was at its strongest since the ancient era. 9 underworlds proved his Tao, and the heavenly devil imperial family's glory returned. In front of the first Emperor Kuan Palace, the eyes of the first emperor of the heavenly devil empire shone like stars. The day he had been waiting for had finally arrived. Time is up. You can all leave. First Emperor Kuan said. In front of the 9,000 stone steps, the envoys of the 100 races bowed together, and then left with their own thoughts. Everyone left, and the 12 princes and princesses also left one after another. Just as Ningchen turned to leave, 9 underworlds' king's majestic voice sounded. You stay. Hearing this, Ningchen stopped. He turned to look in front of the 3 emperors' palace, and his eyes revealed a strange look. Similarly, the 3 princes, Xianzhen, Xianqing, and Xianling, were also left behind. The 4 demon emperors disappeared and brought the 4 princes to the imperial palace behind them. Inside the first Kuan Emperor palace, 4 powerful auras appeared. Demonic chi surrounded them and floated in the air like 4 demonic suns. They were so powerful that no one dared to resist. Up ahead, 4 people stood side by side. Their expressions were puzzled, as they did not know why they had been left behind. Congratulations, 13th brother. Beside Ningchen, Xianqing and Xianling transmitted their voices at the same time. Thank you. Ningchen replied softly. On the far left, Xianzhen stood there silently. After a long time, he said, Congratulations, 13th brother. Thank you, brother. Ningchen replied politely. 4 figures shrouded in demonic chi floated in front of the throne. They ignored the 4 people below and sealed the space to formally discuss matters. 9 Nether, I've been waiting for this day for a long time. The first Kuan demon emperor looked at the figure in front of him and said, Xian Juyo fell silent. He did not know if he was right to take this step. Perhaps the heavenly demonic imperial family should never have 4 demon emperors. Since 9 Nether has achieved the imperial Tao, we can begin our plan in advance, said the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Isn't it too soon? Said the 8 desolation demon emperor with a frown. How many years have we waited for this day? In the ancient war, the heavenly demonic imperial family was defeated and the demonic realm was sealed. Even we had to seal ourselves in order to survive until today, said the 7 luminaries demon emperor coldly. The 8 desolation demon emperor sighed and did not say anything else. Although they had achieved the imperial Tao, their lifespan was not endless. Apart from 9 Nether who had consumed the Godflower, their lifespan was no more than 10,000 years. It had been too long since the ancient era. Even they could not last that long. The demonic origin that could seal them had been used up. Therefore, this era was their last chance. They could only succeed and not fail. 7 luminaries is right. We can't wait any longer. The first demonic emperor said calmly, From today onward, the plan will officially begin. The first thing is to attack the Dragon Emperor Mountain and take the Dragon Emperor Sword. Dragon Emperor Mountain? Xian Juyo's eyes flickered when he heard that. He said, Brother, we all know how dangerous that mountain is. Even imperial Tao cultivators have the risk of dying there. In the past few tens of thousands of years, countless ancient inheritances had attacked that divine mountain, and it was even to the extent that Emperor Tao experts had personally made a move against it. However, the final outcome was the same. All the inheritances that attacked Dragon Emperor Mountain suffered heavy losses and gained nothing. Things are different now. With you, 9 Nether, the heavenly demonic imperial family has 4 imperial Tao cultivators. It's not impossible to open the Dragon Emperor Mountain, said the first demonic emperor calmly. Brother, why are you so determined to attack the Dragon Emperor Mountain? Asked Xian Juyo in confusion. For the Dragon Emperor Sword and to completely break the seal of the Queen Mother of the West, said the first demonic emperor in a deep voice. Although the heavenly demonic imperial family and the golden scale imperial family have sent people to open a gap in the Queen Mother of the West seal, The gap is too small. It's even repairing itself. It's difficult for us to go in and out freely. Brother, do you really want to start a war between the two realms? Asked Xian Jiuyo. Jiuyo, look at the sky, said the first demonic emperor coldly. Since the ancient era, other than you who consumed the godflower, there hasn't been an imperial Dao cultivator who didn't rely on external forces. Don't you understand what this means? Xian Jiuyo was silent. When he had entered the imperial Dao, he had clearly felt the exhaustion of the heaven and earth's origin. After being sealed for hundreds of thousands of years, the primordial demon realm was like an old man with one foot in the grave. Jiuyo, you're the emperor of the heavenly demonic imperial family now. You must think about the future of the imperial family. Only by fighting can you obtain more resources. This is the truth. You can't run away from it, said the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor. You don't have to say more. Jiuyo, prepare to attack the Dragon Emperor Mountain in 3 days. The Dragon Emperor Mountain has the dragon tribe's sovereign qi, which is very beneficial to the cultivation of the younger generation. Xian Zhen, Xian Qing, and Xian Ling will go together. Your disciple should come too, said the first demonic emperor calmly. Xian Jiuyo frowned and looked at Ning Chen in the hall. Was he a hostage? Don't overthink it, said the Seven Brilliance Demon Emperor coldly. The interests of the imperial family are aligned. Although your disciple was born a human, he's now a member of the imperial family. Since you've achieved the imperial Dao, your disciple is no different from the crown prince. It's reasonable to bring him along. Xian Jiuyo sighed. Only this time. The first demonic emperor nodded. As long as we get the Dragon Emperor sword, we won't force you anymore. Xian Jiuyo nodded and didn't say anything else. He stepped into the hall and said, "Let's go back." After saying that, the two figures disappeared and left the imperial palace. In the imperial palace, Xian Zhen, Xian Qing, and Xian Ling were surprised. They didn't know what the 4 demonic emperors had decided. After the 3 of you go back today, try your best to adjust your body to the best condition. There will be a great opportunity waiting for you in 3 days. It's up to you if you can grasp this opportunity, said the first demonic emperor as he looked at the 3 in front of the throne. When the 3 princes heard this, their expressions froze. Opportunity? What was it that even the demonic emperors called it an opportunity? Night fell. 2 figures appeared in the imperial palace of the 9th underworld king's mansion. Xian Jiuyo looked at his disciple in front of the throne and said in a deep voice, "You haven't given me an answer." Ning Chen was silent for a moment and said softly, "I need a defeat." But asked Xian Jiuyo seriously, "Even if I haven't achieved the imperial Dao today, I can still protect you in the 3rd imperial city. Why do you need to hide your strength? I have my own difficulties. Master, please don't ask me anymore." Ning Chen bowed and said apologetically. He was a human who came from outside the primordial demon realm. If he continued to be in the limelight, his identity would be exposed sooner or later. If a defeat could divert everyone's attention away from him, it would be worth it. Xian Jiuyo looked at his disciple quietly. After a long while, he said seriously, "I won't force you. However, if you feel that you can tell me one day, I hope you can tell me the reason personally." "Thank you, Master." Ning Chen bowed respectfully and said, "All right, go and have a rest. 3 days later, I will attack the Dragon Emperor Mountain with the 3 demonic emperors. I will take you with me. Try your best to recover your strength in these 3 days. There is Dragon Emperor Qi in the Dragon Emperor Mountain, which will be beneficial to you. It's a rare opportunity. Don't miss it," Xian Jiuyo reminded. Dragon Emperor Mountain? Hearing this, Ning Chen was shocked. After a while, he regained his composure. Looking at the figure in front of the throne, he asked, "Why are you and the 3 demonic emperors attacking the Dragon Emperor Mountain?" "It's related to the secret of the imperial family. I can't tell you yet. Don't ask too much. Just prepare well," Xian Jiuyo replied. Ning Chen bowed with great emotions. Dragon Emperor Mountain? Why are the 3 demonic emperors attacking the Dragon Emperor Mountain? Dragon Emperor sword? While thinking, Ning Chen got up and left the palace. In the backyard of the mansion, Ning Chen walked over. Looking at his room, he pushed open the door and walked in. The room was clean and tidy. It was clear that Shi Yu and Shi Qing would come in every day to disturb him seriously. In the room, rows of flickering candles lit up the entire room. Looking at the candles, Ning Chen couldn't help but frown. Intuition told him that the 3 demonic emperors attacking the Dragon Emperor Mountain was definitely not a good thing. The most precious thing in the Dragon Emperor Mountain was the Dragon Emperor Sword. He had witnessed the terrifying power of the Dragon Emperor Sword with his own eyes. Even King Shuri, who was at the peak of King Dao, couldn't bear the power of the Dragon Emperor Sword. Why do the 3 demonic emperors want the Dragon Emperor Sword? In the primeval demon realm, the celestial demonic imperial family was the real overlord. Even without the Dragon Emperor Sword, no race dared to go against the celestial demonic imperial family. In that case, why do the 3 demonic emperors need to take the risk to attack the Dragon Emperor Mountain? After thinking for a long time, Ning Chen couldn't figure out the reason. His frown deepened. Suddenly, his body stiffened and he was shocked. Space passage? Could it be related to this? The passage between the 2 realms had been open for a long time. According to the comparison of the 2 realms' strength, the primeval demon realm army should have gathered long ago. However, this was not the case. Although the situation between the 2 realms was tense, there had never been a real war. The only explanation was that the primeval demon realm army might not be able to cross over. Chapter 1068. In the 3 imperial cities, demonic chi surged out of the ancestral land, and a terrifying aura swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. In the deepest part of the ancestral land, the demonic origin that sealed the true bodies of the 3 demon emperors crumbled inch by inch. A moment later, waves of demonic aura that surpassed the heavens and the earth were awakened. 3 pairs of cold eyes slowly opened, shining brightly like 6 divine furnaces, illuminating the heavenly demon ancestral land as bright as day. The heavenly demon emperors were existences that shocked the past and present. Today, the 3 emperors appeared at the same time. At the same time, the 9 Nether Kings' palaces' imperial aura soared into the sky. A dark purple figure walked out with a majestic demonic aura. The 4th emperor, the 9 Nether Demon Emperor, was the most talented prodigy of the ancient era. He was invincible once he attained his Tao. With the appearance of the 4 emperors, a huge bronze chariot flew up from the ancestral land of the heavenly demon ancestral land, shocking the entire primordial demon region. "Let's go," Xian Juyo said calmly. "Okay." In the 9 Serenities Palace, Ning Chenjing stood in the courtyard and answered softly. In the next moment, the 2 disappeared and flew toward the bronze chariot in the sky. At the same time, Xian Zhen, Xian Qing, and Xian Ling flew into the sky from the 3 crown princes' palaces. "Xian Mo, the task of guarding the 3 imperial cities is yours." A majestic voice came from the sky. "Yes." In the 3 imperial cities, Xian Mo, who was wearing heavy armor, said respectfully. Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people in the imperial city, the bronze chariot that was as huge as a Kuanping flew across the sky towards the east. In the vast territory that spanned hundreds of thousands of miles, there were hundreds of races. On the bronze chariot, Ning Chen looked at the scenery that was being left behind. His calm eyes were filled with thoughts. No matter if his guess was right or not, he had to do his best to stop the 3 demon emperors from getting the Dragon Emperor Sword. 13th brother, what are you thinking about? Xian Qing walked forward and looked at the young man in plain clothes with a smile. Ning Chen came back to his senses and shook his head. "Nothing. I'm just a bit worried. After all, everyone knows how dangerous the Dragon Emperor Mountain is." 13th brother, don't think too much. Xian Qing smiled. With father and the 3 uncles, even the Dragon Emperor Mountain won't be able to stop them. We just need to watch. Ning Chen nodded and forced a smile. "I hope so." In front of the bronze chariot, 4 figures stood side by side. Demonic chi lingered around them, making it impossible to see their true bodies. "Jiu Yu, did you give the mysterious 9 transformations to your disciple?" asked the 8 Desolation Demon Emperor. "Why not?" Xian Juyo said indifferently. The Flying Swan Mantra and the Imperial Technique both require the combination of the 9 transformations of the Profound Solution to unleash their full power. If you give the Profound Solution to him, your own strength will definitely be greatly affected, the 8 Desolation Devil Emperor said in a deep voice. So what if I am affected? 8th Royal Brother, do you think there is anyone in this world who can force me to use my full strength? Xianjuyo said calmly. The 8th Desolation Devil Emperor fell silent and didn't speak any further. When Nine Nether was still at the King Realm, her strength was already on par with Emperor Realm experts. Now that Nine Nether had attained her Tao, besides her eldest brother, no one in the entire primeval devil realm could go against her. Attacking the Dragon Emperor Mountain isn't an easy task. Juyo, you should take back the Profound Solution first. After this is over, you can give it to him, the first Demon Emperor suggested. Eldest brother, I know what I am doing. I don't need it now. Xianjuyo was still indifferent and refused. Hearing this, the first Demon Emperor and the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor frowned slightly. What was Nine Nether thinking? Without the Profound Solution 9 transformations, her strength would be reduced by at least 30%. It didn't seem like much, but attacking the Dragon Emperor Mountain was full of dangers. Every bit of strength she had would increase their chances of success. In the clouds, the giant bronze chariot traveled east. It was getting faster and faster, and soon, it was out of the demon realm. In the vast central region, there were many races of all sizes. There was no lack of royal families, and even the royal families that stood at the peak of this world. Divine Spiritual Mountain, the land of inheritance of the Stone Tribe. The bronze chariot flew across the sky, and its huge shadow covered the sky. In the Divine Spiritual Mountain, a domineering figure sat cross-legged. His black hair was thick, and his body was surrounded by light. He was the Emperor of the Stone Tribe, born with a unique divine spiritual body. As the bronze chariot drove past, a powerful demonic aura descended. The entire Divine Spiritual Mountain shook violently. Wherever the demonic aura passed, the mountains and rivers shifted, and the earth rumbled. The Stone Emperor felt it, and his eyes suddenly opened. He looked at the sky, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. What a grand display! After so many years, the celestial demonic imperial family had become arrogant and lawless. Now, they didn't even take him, the Emperor of the Stone Tribe, seriously. In the clouds, on the bronze chariot, Xianjuyo looked down. After a while, he called out, Ningchen. Ningchen stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Did the Stone Emperor attack you in the Blood Moon ancient battlefield? Xianjuyo asked calmly. He had heard about what happened in the ancient battlefield from his disciple. The thing that left the deepest impression on him was how the Stone Emperor bullied the weak. Yes. Hearing Juyo's question, Ningchen didn't hide anything and said truthfully, the Stone Emperor did attack me. Xianjuyo nodded and didn't ask any more questions. He looked down at the Divine Spiritual Mountain and said, since that's the case, I should greet the Stone Emperor. As soon as he said that, demonic chi surged out from Xianjuyo's body. The demonic aura covered the sky, and the terrifying power distorted the void. Juyo, don't be rash. Demon Emperor Kun Yi said seriously, the Stone Tribe isn't weak. There's no need to make enemies over such a small matter. It's not a small matter for an emperor to bully my disciple. Moreover, I'm just giving him a warning. Then, Xianjuyo flipped his right palm. Demonic chi surged between heaven and earth, and in an instant, a huge hand formed. It was like a wave of demonic waves that slammed down. Inside the Divine Spiritual Mountain, the Stone Emperor's expression changed slightly. He stomped his foot, and his figure rose from the ground. He gathered the power of wind and clouds in his fists and blocked the descending demonic palm. Amidst the shock, the Emperor's aura collided. The terrifying demonic aura collided with the power of wind and clouds. After a few breaths, the stalemate was broken. The huge palm slammed down, suppressing the Stone Emperor and slamming into the Divine Spiritual Mountain. Rumble! The huge palm crushed one mountain after another. The shocking demonic aura instantly destroyed the formations in the Divine Spiritual Mountain, severely injuring the stone emperor that had been passed down for countless years. Xianjuyo, you've gone too far. The stone emperor rushed out from the rolling dust. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and opened his hands. His emperor's aura shocked the world. The stone emperor revealed his true form. In an instant, a gigantic stone golem appeared. His figure was as massive as a mountain, and he stood tall and straight. He was so massive that no one would be able to resist him. On the bronze chariot, the 8 Desolation Demon Emperor looked at the huge stone man and said indifferently, "Get out of the way. Otherwise, the stone tribe will no longer exist in the primordial demon realm." Arrogant. The stone emperor was furious. His huge body stepped out and punched at the bronze chariot with the power to break the sky. On the bronze chariot, the 8 Desolation Demon Emperor's expression turned cold. He said indifferently, "Open." As soon as he said that, the wind and clouds changed. An invisible barrier appeared in front of the bronze chariot and blocked the stone emperor's punch. "Stone Emperor, you're so stubborn. You're only digging your own grave." The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor's expression darkened. He raised his right hand. Suddenly, black flames gathered between heaven and earth and surged. The sun rose from the east and lit up the outside world. The black demonic sun burned fiercely. It was so bright that even the sun of the outside world paled in comparison. "One last thing, get out of the way." Xianjuyo's eyes were filled with killing intent. Demonic flames burned around him. Flying light was faintly discernible. The demonic aura had already arrived before the attack was launched. "Business is more important. Don't waste time," the first Kunyi Demon Emperor reminded. "Don't worry, brother. It won't take much effort to deal with him." Xianjuyo replied calmly. After a few breaths, he disappeared and flew out of the bronze chariot. Demonic flames gathered, and a black spear appeared. Xianjuyo held the demonic spear and threw it out. The shocking spear broke through the void. Black flames spread and crashed into the stone emperor's body. "Ugh!" The stone emperor grunted in pain and took a few steps back. His indestructible stone body cracked. It was extremely dazzling. Before the flying swan technique, all defenses are useless. Xianjuyo snorted coldly. He opened his palm and pointed at the stone emperor's chest. The stone emperor raised his hand to block Xianjuyo's finger power. However, the flying swan technique, which was several times more powerful, couldn't be blocked. It silently pierced through the stone emperor's palm and into his chest. Demonic chi surged, and the cracks started to spread. The stone emperor's body shook violently and showed signs of collapsing. The stone emperor was heavily injured, but the murderous intent in Xianjuyo's eyes didn't diminish. He clenched his right hand, and a black demonic spear appeared. It was surrounded by demonic flames and had shocking power. Just as Xianjuyo was about to attack the stone emperor again, demonic chi surged. The first Kunyi Demon Emperor walked out and stopped him. "No need to kill him. He's still useful," the first Kunyi Demon Emperor said. Xianjuyo frowned but didn't attack again. He waved his hand and dispersed the demonic spear. His figure flashed and returned to the bronze chariot. The first Kunyi Demon Emperor glanced at the Stone Emperor and said, "Stone Emperor, take care of yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, demonic chi exploded. It sent the Stone Emperor flying and opened up a path. The first Kunyi Demon Emperor turned around and jumped onto the bronze chariot. In the blink of an eye, the chariot continued to fly toward the east. On the collapsed God Mountain, the Stone Emperor's body flickered and returned to his human form. He spat out blood and dyed the mountain red. In the east, on the bronze chariot, the first Kunyi Demon Emperor looked at the plain-clothed young man not far away. His eyes flashed. Just now, Xianjuyo didn't hesitate to become enemies with an emperor to seek justice for this young man. Chapter 1069. The Dragon Emperor Mountain was a huge mountain range that stretched for tens of thousands of miles. It had been here since ancient times, and it was so ancient that it could no longer be observed. On this day, demonic clouds swept over, covering the sky and covering the sun. Within the demonic clouds, a huge bronze chariot could be vaguely seen. The majestic demonic might suppressed the heavens and the earth. 4 figures descended from the sky from the war chariot. Demonic chi lingered around them, hiding their true appearances. When the 4 emperors descended into the world, the heavens and earth grieved. Within a range of 100,000 li, all creatures prostrated themselves, not daring to get up. Stay here. Don't come down before the Dragon Emperor mountain opens. The first Kunyi demon emperor ordered. Yes. On the bronze war chariot, Ningchen and the other 3 accepted the order. At the same time, everyone in the primordial demon realm looked at the Dragon Emperor mountain in shock. As it turned out, the 4 celestial devil emperors' target was the Dragon Monarch mountain. Could it be that the 4 demon emperors traveled such a long distance just for that Dragon Emperor sword? However, given the power of the 4 demon emperors, why would they risk their lives to attack Dragon Emperor mountain for an immortal sword which was dispensable for them? Within the purple scale abyss, the Scale Emperor opened his eyes. A streak of light flashed through his eyes. Had it finally begun? From now on, the grand plan of the primordial demon realm descending into the human world officially began. In front of the Dragon Monarch mountain, 4 demon monarchs appeared at the same time. Ha! Black demonic flames gathered in the sky as the 7 brilliance demon emperor flipped his palm. A giant demonic sun descended from the sky and slammed into the Dragon Emperor mountain below. Amidst the huge tremors, runes rose up from the Dragon Monarch mountain. The strange light was extinguished, forcibly blocking the sovereign Tao. The ruins left behind by the Dragon Emperor are indeed extraordinary. The 7 brilliance demon emperor said with a frown as he stared at the vanishing demon Sunday, "Let's work together to break it." The 8 desolation demon emperor stepped forth. Looking at the runes that were faintly discernible below, he remarked coldly. The 7 brilliance demon emperor nodded. He raised his hands into the sky and gathered the demonic flames once again. 2 demonic suns circled each other, gathering the wind and clouds within 10,000 li. The 9 heavens and 10 earths were also affected. At the side, the 8 desolation demonic emperor also channeled his demonic energy. 3,000 small worlds rotated in an endless cycle of destruction. The 2 Emperor Tao sovereigns joined forces, and their terrifying demonic might fused together. The black demonic sun fell into the 3,000 small worlds, and its destructive power erupted, engulfing the large worlds in reverse. A might that could obliterate the heavens and the earth descended. The numerous restrictions and formations on Dragon Monarch Mountain were unable to hold on any longer, and they collapsed inch by inch before vanishing into nothingness. Buzz. Just as the Dragon Monarch Mountain's restrictions were about to collapse, a deafening sword clang resounded through the 9 heavens. In the next moment, a golden sword light soared into the sky and slashed at the 2 demon emperors. The 7 luminaries demon emperors and 8 desolation demon emperors turned serious. They turned their palms and channeled their energy to block the Dragon Emperor's sword. Boom! As the sword radiance slashed down, the golden sword radiance disintegrated inch by inch amidst the violently vibrating dragon chi and demonic chi before vanishing into thin air. It's just an ownerless sword. Where did it get the courage to resist us? The 7 brilliance demon emperor waved his hand to disperse the lingering ripples before glancing down coldly. On the Dragon Monarch Mountain, the aftershock dissipated, and a golden divine sword appeared. Its entire body was covered in coiling dragon patterns, and it was simple and majestic. It was extremely extraordinary. The Dragon Emperor sword was the #1 divine artifact in the primordial demon realm. It was once the sword of the Dragon Emperor and was said to be indestructible. No one dared to go against its edge. However, with the fall of the Dragon Emperor, the Dragon Emperor sword also lost its former sharpness. It was sealed in the Dragon Emperor mountain and gradually covered in dust. The Dragon Emperor sword hummed softly as if it was facing a formidable enemy. On the sky chariot, Ningchen looked down and sensed the sword will from the Dragon Emperor sword. His face darkened slightly. He had to find a way to stop the Sky Devil Imperial family from obtaining the Dragon Emperor sword. The Dragon Emperor sword seal on his arm was still motionless. The sword seal that the Dragon Emperor sword spirit had given to him in the past had not reacted at all. Ningchen frowned again and again. He secretly glanced at the 3 crown princes who were not far away. With the 3 of them around, it would be troublesome if he wanted to do anything. Just as Ningchen was in a dilemma, the divine sword hummed from the Dragon Emperor Mountain. An 11 or 12-year-old child walked out. He had a young face, but his eyes were completely different from the vicissitudes of life. Sky Devil Imperial family, you have come after all. As he spoke, the child's face and figure began to change. In the dazzling golden light, a young man of about 20 years old appeared. He was handsome and extraordinary. His noble temperament was unforgettable. Dragon Emperor. The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperors and 8 Desolation Demon Emperors were shocked. The Dragon Emperor? How could it be? Our years of waiting were not in vain, the Dragon Emperor said indifferently. The Dragon Emperor said indifferently as the golden light around him became even more intense. The Dragon Emperor domain spread out and enveloped an area of 5,000 kilometers. Xian Juyo and First Kun Demon Emperor felt the suppression of the power of laws around them. They were slightly shocked. It was the Dragon Emperor's golden light sacred territory. Sensing the unfavorable situation, the 7 Brilliance Demon Emperors and 8 Desolation Demon Aura surged out. The 7 suns rose into the sky, and the 3,000 small worlds rotated. The supreme demon power forcibly created a demon land in the golden light sacred territory. Demons should not exist in this world, the Dragon Emperor said. He clenched his right hand, and the divine sword appeared in his hand. In an instant, the Emperor disappeared. He was so fast that no one could react in time. The 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor's expression changed drastically. He turned his palm to block the attack. The ear-piercing sound of a sharp weapon cutting through bones was heard. A terrifying sword mark appeared on the demon's palm. The demon body could not block the power of the divine weapon. Blood gushed out. At this point, their cultivation had returned to its original state. The 3's attacks seemed simple, but each of their attacks contained the power to destroy the world. The Emperor's power was restrained, and their power was maximized. 3,000 small worlds. While the Dragon Emperor and 7 Brilliance Demon Emperor were fighting, the 8 Desolation Demon Emperor appeared behind them. He raised his hand and channeled the power of the small worlds. The Dragon Emperor turned around, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He changed the direction of his divine sword and met the attack head-on. With a rumble, the peerless divine sword slashed open the world, drawing a dazzling golden sword mark in the void. The 3,000 small worlds shattered at the sound, unable to block the divine sword's sharpness. Ugh! The sword chi passed through the small worlds and entered the demon's body. The 8 Desolation Demon Emperor grunted. He took a few steps back, and the corner of his mouth turned red. The battle was clear. 2 against 1, and the 2 demon emperors were at a disadvantage. Their faces were dyed red. Juyo! Outside the battle, First Kun Demon Emperor looked at the battle in front and said, "Make your move." Xian Juyo sighed in his heart. He did not wait any longer. He stepped out and entered the battle. Fei Hong appeared, and an unparalleled attack slashed toward the Dragon Monarch in front of him. Xian Juyo entered the battle. First Kun Demon Emperor also channeled his vast demonic energy. Endless demonic aura spread out, forcibly resisting the suppression of the golden light sacred realm. The 4 demon emperors attacked at the same time. The Dragon Emperor felt the pressure multiplied. Fei Hong slashed past, and its power became more and more shocking. The battle technique that originated from the Golden Lion clan's secret technique was unparalleled in the world. Xian Juyo's body burned with demonic flames, and his cultivation rose rapidly. The Dragon Emperor swung his sword and slashed away wave after wave of attacks. As his body moved, his expression became more and more serious. The heavenly demonic royal family had produced an incredible figure. 3 lives of life, reincarnation cycle. The battle reached its climax. Without any hesitation, the Dragon Emperor flipped his palm over. Suddenly, the divine weapons resonated. Golden waves surged out endlessly, engulfing the entire Dragon Emperor Mountain. Chapter 1070. On the Dragon Monarch Mountain, the wind and clouds changed. the golden sacred domain spread for thousands of miles. The dragon monarch held his sword and faced the 4 heavenly demon emperors alone. At the critical moment, the dragon monarch revealed his sovereign sword. The divine sword hummed, and endless golden waves swallowed the world. 3 lives reincarnation, sovereign supreme. The dragon aura on the sword rushed out and swept toward the 4 demonic emperors. 7 luminaries and 8 desolates gathered their energy, and their supreme demonic might blocked the sovereign's extreme power. Not far away, 9 Nether and Kuan-E also activated their techniques. Even gods and Buddhas were terrified. The auras of 5 rulers collided. After a moment of silence, a terrifying explosion resounded through the universe. The destructive power spread out rapidly with an unstoppable momentum. 7 luminaries and 8 desolates were the first to be hit by the sovereign's extreme power. The demonic aura around them shook, and their true forms appeared. On the other side, 9 Nether and Kuan-E were also pushed back a few steps. The divine sword's power was limitless. Although the sword was shocking, the golden radiance around the dragon monarch dimmed a lot. It was as if he had bet most of his power on that attack. Dragon monarch, you really died long ago. Demon Emperor Kuan-E looked at the young figure in the golden radiance and said in a deep voice, "You're just a soul mark now. It's enough to kill you all." The dragon monarch said coldly. The divine sword turned, and 8 golden dragons soared into the sky. They roared and charged toward the 4 demonic emperors. The golden dragons surged, and their dragon breath swallowed the sky. It was as if an ancient dragon had been reborn. It was shocking. 8 desolates blocked the attack, and layers of small worlds appeared. Some were primitive, some were prosperous, and some were dead silent. They were all different and endless. With a boom, the golden dragons crashed into the small worlds. A shocking tremor resounded, and dozens of small worlds began to collapse. The collapse became faster and faster, and it continued to spread. The 8 desolates demonic emperor was pushed back a dozen steps. The dragon aura entered his body, and his demonic aura shook violently. Not far away, the 7 luminaries demonic emperor was also attacked by the golden dragons. His demonic sons shattered one after another, and he was pushed back dozens of feet. The 2 emperors were injured. On the other side, Demon Emperor Kuan-E's expression became more and more serious. His chaotic demonic yuan blocked the attack of the 2 golden dragons. His figure flashed as he entered the battle personally. He turned his palm and poured out his yuan, slapping toward the emperor of the dragon race. The sword and palm collided with each other. Danger surrounded them as they closed in. After exchanging a few moves, they could both sigh in admiration. The emperor of the dragon clan and the venerable of the demon clan were fighting head-on. Limitless universe change. With a raise of his hand, a towering demonic wave surged out. This was a move of the utmost demonic, causing the clouds to swirl in all directions. The entire world instantly darkened as boundless demonic might spread out rapidly. The first Kuan-E demon emperor showed his sovereign Tao for the first time. He was the #1 sovereign that controlled the fate of the heavenly demon clan. Seeing this, the dragon emperor's face turned solemn. The divine sword drew upon the power of the dragon emperor mountain's veins in his body to boost the dragon emperor sword's might. Not far away, Xianjiuyo raised his hand and shook off the obstruction of the enormous golden dragon, and then he took a step forward and flashed to the center of the battlefield. A black demonic spear appeared, surrounded by demonic flames. The demonic might of the flying swan technique, whose attack power was unparalleled in the world, reappeared and pierced straight toward the emperor's chest. The dragon monarch's eyes darkened as he raised his hand to grab the demonic spear. However, the attack of the demonic spear did not slow down and continued to rush forward. Arg! The demonic spear entered the dragon monarch's body and stopped after half an inch. The dragon monarch groaned as he was injured for the first time. At the same time, the first Kuan-E demon emperor's attack arrived. The earth-shattering might swallowed up the radiance of the sun and moon. Back off! The demonic might arrived, and the dragon emperor's eyes shone brightly. The divine sword drew upon the power of the dragon veins and slashed toward the #1 sovereign of the heavenly demon clan. The Dragon Emperor's sword carried a myriad of sovereign chi and clashed with the power of the utmost demonic. As the two experts clashed, a terrifying shockwave spread out, and the battlefield was instantly shaken apart. The Dragon Emperor and the first Kunyi Demon Emperor both took a few steps back before they stabilized themselves. Heavenly Demon Finger. The Emperor showed signs of defeat. Xianjiuyo gathered the demonic essence of heaven and earth, and the Flying Swan technique evolved from the Heavenly Demon Clan's martial arts. The Dragon Emperor swung his sword to block the attack, and the golden radiance around him shook violently. The remnant soul mark in the mortal world became weaker and weaker, and he could not hold on for long. In the demonic clouds in the sky, Ningchen looked at the battle below with a heavy heart. The power of the Dragon Emperor's sword was obviously weakening. If this continued, the Dragon Emperor's sword would definitely be taken away by the three Heavenly Demon Emperors. In the battle, the Dragon Emperor, whose soul mark was gradually exhausted, looked at the four Heavenly Demon Emperors around him. His calm eyes did not change much. Since you want to enter the Dragon Emperor Mountains so much, then come. As soon as he finished speaking, the Dragon Emperor's figure flashed and turned into a golden stream of light, rushing toward the Dragon Emperor Mountain below. Seeing this, first Kunyi, 7 luminaries, and 8 desolation did not hesitate and chased after him. Behind them, Xianjiuyo frowned slightly. After a moment he followed. In the blink of an eye, the Dragon Emperor and the 4 Heavenly Demon Emperors disappeared in the Dragon Emperor Mountain. In the sky, on the bronze chariot, Ningchen stepped forward and was about to jump down. 13th brother. Xianqing stepped forward and said seriously, "Without the permission of father and the 3 uncles, we can't go down." Ningchen stopped and said calmly, "The Heavenly Demon Emperor said that we are not allowed to go down before the Dragon Emperor Mountain opens. But now that the Dragon Emperor Mountain has opened, if we continue to stay here, wouldn't we miss this once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity?" After that, Ningchen did not pay any more attention to them. He stepped forward and flew down. On the bronze chariot, Xianzhen, Xianqing, and Xianling looked at the silhouette that was gradually disappearing. After a moment of silence, they jumped down from the chariot one after another. Ningchen walked into the Dragon Emperor Mountain. Behind him, the 3 crown princes of the demon race landed and followed him. After 100 steps, the surrounding scene suddenly changed. The 4 of them stopped and looked serious. Around them, the space changed. Birds chirped and flowers bloomed. It was full of vitality. It was like a small world of paradise on earth. Flowers bloomed everywhere and water flowed. It was so beautiful that it was intoxicating. Roar! In the sky above the paradise, giant dragons coiled around. They were of different shapes but were equally powerful. No one dared to approach them. Dragon race. Xianling looked at the giant dragons in the sky and his face darkened. Wasn't the dragon race destroyed? How could there still be giant dragons? Is it an illusion? Not far away, Xianqing's eyes narrowed. It didn't seem like it. Ordinary illusions could not confuse them. But if it was not an illusion, why would the giant dragons appear here? This is a dream. Xianzhen, who had the highest cultivation among the 3, looked at the surrounding space and said, "Boom!" Just then, in the depths of the small world, there was a violent vibration. It was so shocking that it could be felt clearly from thousands of miles away. In front of the 3 of them, Ningchen sensed something and looked into the distance. Without any hesitation, he took a step forward and rushed forward. Behind him, the 3 did not delay. They turned into flowing light and followed him. In the depths of the small world, the vibration of the battle became more and more intense. Demonic waves and dragon chi shook out one after another, turning thousands of miles into a forbidden area. In the small world, 4 figures flashed past quickly. They were getting faster and faster as they rushed toward the battle at full speed. Buzz! In the distance, the Dragon Emperor's sword hummed and cut open the space. Immediately, an even more powerful demonic chi burst out and drowned the battle. The battle was so intense that it was shocking. Suddenly, the Dragon Emperor's sword print on Ningchen's arm changed. It seemed to have felt the danger of the Dragon Emperor in the distance and became restless. Ningchen felt it and his expression turned serious. He looked at the three behind him and said, "Help me get rid of them, and I'll help you save the Dragon Emperor." As soon as he said that, the sword prince shook as if it understood the former. In the next moment, endless golden sword qi appeared out of thin air between heaven and earth and swept toward the three princes. Xian Zhen, Xian Qing, and Xian Ling's eyes darkened when they saw this. They unleashed their skills. With a boom, the golden sword qi fell and swallowed the three of them. In front of them, Ningchen activated his skills again and sped up. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the distance. In the depths of the small world, the battle was intense. The four demonic emperors were fighting the Dragon Emperor again. Every move they made was earth-shattering. After a long battle, the two demonic emperors of 7 luminaries and 8 desolation were getting more and more injured. Even if they had unparalleled heavenly demon physical bodies, they were gradually showing signs of being unable to withstand the sharpness of the Dragon Emperor sword. Boom! The black spear collided with the Dragon Emperor sword, and a violent tremor resounded throughout the small world. The most talented genius of the heavenly demon clan was facing the Dragon Emperor, and the battle was reaching its climax. If you're so capable, you shouldn't help the evildoers. Feeling the outstanding battle soul of the person in front of him, the Dragon Emperor swung his sword to deflect the demonic spear and said in a deep voice, "It's my responsibility. I have to. Forgive me." With that, the demonic flames around Xian Juyo burst out. His skills rose rapidly, doubling, tripling. His flying swan technique was fully upgraded, and he was constantly approaching the limit of flying swan technique, the most terrifying tenfold attack. Xian Juyo showed his extreme power, and heaven and earth wailed. The void within thousands of miles began to collapse. Seeing this, the three demonic emperors immediately retreated from the battle, unwilling to be affected by the upcoming killer move. The Dragon Emperor's expression turned solemn, and his eyes flashed with determination. With a deep roar, his dragon essence rushed into the sky. The golden light pillar pierced into the 9 heavens, and the Dragon Emperor transformed into his human form. In an instant, a 5-clawed golden dragon coiled out. It had horns like a deer, eyes like a rabbit, neck like a snake, belly like a snake, scales like a fish, and claws like an eagle. It was surrounded by a dazzling golden light, and looked extraordinarily mighty. The Dragon Emperor showed his true form, and his divine power shook the world. Just as the two most powerful people in the world were fighting, Red Sword Qi suddenly shot out from below the ground without any warning, and its power was shocking. Xian Juyo sensed it, and his figure immediately flashed, dodging the sword qi that shot into the sky. On the other side, the 3 demonic emperors also moved, dodging the powerful sword qi that was infused with the dragon vein earth qi. In an instant, the 5-clawed golden dragon in the sky opened its mouth, and the dragon breath attacked the 4 demonic emperors. Xian Juyo and demonic emperor Kun Yi blocked the attack with their bodies, but they were both knocked back a few steps. When the shockwave dissipated, the Dragon Emperor's figure had already disappeared from the sky. Someone interfered. The 7 Brilliance demonic emperor looked into the distance and said coldly, "The Dragon Emperor's soul power is about to run out. He can't run far. Chase after him." Demonic Emperor Kun Yi said coldly, and his figure flashed as he chased after the Dragon Emperor again. The 7 Brilliance demonic emperor and the 8 Desolation demonic emperor followed behind and quickly left. Xian Juyo looked at the sword qi that had disappeared into the sky and frowned slightly. Those sword qi seemed a little familiar. On the peak in the distance, a plain-clothed figure watched the scene calmly. The divine time's seal circled around him, concealing his aura. Chapter 1071. In the small world of the Dragon Emperor Mountain, the immortal trapping showed its might. The sword light that fused with the earth qi of the dragon vein dispersed the battle. The Dragon Emperor took the opportunity to escape and disappeared from the battle. Knowing that the Dragon Emperor could not hold on for long, the 4 demon emperors immediately chased after him. They were determined to get the Dragon Emperor sword. In the sky, demonic essence swirled and spread, drowning the pure land of the Dragon clan. On the peak in the distance, a white-haired figure in plain clothes stood quietly. In front of him, the immortal trapping sword was floating. After fusing with the power that surpassed the limit, there were more cracks on the sword as if it would completely collapse at any time. In the ancient times, the immortal trapping sword that was famous in the four immortal realms was already broken after the ancient upheaval. It was no longer as powerful as before. Half of the sword was cracked inch by inch. Under the impact of the earth chi of the dragon vein, it was even more broken. The sword just now was already the limit of the immortal trapping sword. It could not bear any more power in a short time. Young man, thank you. At this moment, in front of the peak, the void swirled and an illusory golden figure appeared. He looked at the young man in plain clothes and said, "Senior Dragon Emperor, you're too polite. If it weren't for the sword mark you left behind, I wouldn't have the ability to help you," Ningchen said calmly. "You reap what you sow. Young man, you're a human. Why are you with the heavenly demons?" The Dragon Emperor asked seriously. "I was instructed by the remnant soul of the Phoenix Master to go to the Heavenly Demon Imperial Clan to find the lost secret skill of the Phoenix Clan," Ningchen said truthfully. "Phoenix Master?" Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor's eyes flashed with vicissitudes. So it was that old friend. Unfortunately, they would never have the chance to meet again. "Young man, can I ask you for a favor?" The Dragon Emperor collected his thoughts and asked the person in front of him. "Senior Dragon Emperor, please speak." Ningchen's eyes narrowed as he replied. The Dragon Emperor glanced at the small world in the sky that was being devoured by the demonic clouds and said tiredly, "After a while, I will detonate the entire small world of the Dragon Clan and try my best to bury all 4 demon emperors here. However, before that I will send you and the Dragon Emperor sword out. If you meet the successor of the Dragon Clan in the future, please hand the Dragon Emperor sword to him." "There are still descendants of the Dragon Clan?" Ningchen asked in surprise. The Dragon Emperor nodded and said, "During the calamity of the dragon race, I sealed my only son in the stone egg and sent him out of the dragon race. Perhaps he has broken the seal now, or perhaps he is still in the stone egg and has yet to awaken." Ningchen fell silent when he heard this. Then he said, "I will definitely do my best. However, I also have a request that I hope you can agree to." "Speak your mind." The Dragon Emperor nodded. "Among the 4 Devil Emperors, one of them is my benefactor. I hope that Senior Dragon Emperor can spare his life," Ningchen said solemnly. When the Dragon Emperor heard this, a strange light flashed in his eyes. He said, "The Sky Devil Imperial family is heartless by nature, and their emperor is even more so. Being soft-hearted for a moment will only lead to endless disasters. He's different." Ning Chen's expression was serious as he said, "Junior guarantees that this person will absolutely not do anything that would bring disaster to the world." The Dragon Emperor was silent. After a moment, he sighed and asked, "Are you talking about the emperor with the devil's spear?" Among the 4 demon emperors, only Zhu'er was different. However, he was still helping the evildoers. Ning Chen nodded and said, "Senior Dragon Emperor, please spare his life." "Sure." The Dragon Emperor nodded. Looking at the approaching demonic clouds in the distance, he didn't dare to delay any longer. With a deep shout, he turned his palm and absorbed all the dragon chi in the Dragon Emperor sword. His blurry soul became more solid. "I have already devoured most of the power in the Dragon Emperor sword. From now on, even if this sword is sealed in your body, it won't attract the attention of others." After speaking, the Dragon Emperor raised his hand. The Dragon Emperor's sword trembled and turned into a stream of light that entered Ning Chen's body. In the next moment, the Dragon Emperor sword seal appeared on Ning Chen's right arm again. This time it was clearer. The Dragon Emperor sword doesn't have much power now. Unless you find enough dragon chi, you can't awaken it again. In addition, I feel the Phoenix Master's sovereign Dao law in your body. Remember, don't use any power that exceeds your limit unless it's absolutely necessary. A person's endurance is limited. Once this limit is exceeded, the price will be far beyond your imagination. As he spoke, golden light shone around the Dragon Emperor. Endless dragon chi burst out like a golden sun, illuminating the entire dragon tribe's small world. At this moment, thousands of miles away, Xian Juyo, Demon Emperor Kuan Yi, and the others sensed something and looked in the direction of the golden sun. Ningchen. Suddenly, Xian Juyo's pupils shrank as he saw the figure on the peak in the distance. His expression changed drastically. In the distance, Xian Zhen, Xian Ling, and the others also saw the two figures on the peak, and they were shocked. How did 13th brother encounter the Dragon Emperor? You're courting death. Thousands of miles away, Xian Juyo was furious. His demonic qi exploded, and half of his blood qi burned. God-slaying spear. In the violent demonic qi, a black and red demonic spear appeared. It was shrouded in a bloody mist, and its demonic power was terrifying. The God-slaying spear had endless destructive power. In the blink of an eye, it broke through the sky with endless demonic power. In the shocking scene, the black and red demonic spear streaked across the void, and everything within thousands of miles disintegrated and disappeared without a trace. In front of the peak, the Dragon Emperor felt the horrifying demonic power from afar, but his expression didn't change much. He looked at the young man in front of him and said, "Now, I'm starting to believe your words." Ningchen looked at the destructive god-slaying spear in the distance and fell silent. He couldn't repay the kindness of the 9th Underworld King. "Let's go, or it'll be too late." As soon as he finished speaking, the Dragon Emperor raised his hand, and the space in front of him collapsed. The void spread out and swallowed the knowing destiny body. "Goodbye, young man." Outside the void, the Dragon Emperor said softly. He turned around and looked at the black and red demonic spear that broke through the sky. His eyes lit up. There's an end to life, and there's an end to death. Life and death go through the cycle of reincarnation. The Dragon Emperor stretched out his hands, and his soul burned fiercely. He turned into the Saint's sun and kept spreading, covering the entire small world of the Dragon tribe. Oh no! Thousands of miles away, the 3 demon emperors Kuan Yi, 7 luminaries, and 8 barons sensed the Dragon Emperor's intention, and their expressions changed at the same time. "Save Xian Qing and the rest." The demon emperor Kuan Yi said. Without hesitation, he shouted, and the chaotic demonic vitality burst out, supporting the collapsing small world. Not far away, 7 luminaries and 8 baron released all their powers. Their figures flashed, and they rushed into the distance. Boom! On the peak in the distance, the god-slaying spear swept over and directly pierced through the Dragon Emperor's body that hadn't completely dissipated, crashing into the peak. It was the scene of doomsday. The entire small world of the Dragon tribe collapsed rapidly. At the same time, outside the small world, the Dragon Emperor mountain shook violently and fell apart. Thousands of miles away, the void rolled, and a silhouette in white appeared. Looking at the collapsed Dragon Emperor mountain, she couldn't hide her shock. Chapter 1072. On the Dragon Emperor mountain, wild waves were everywhere, and heaven and earth were shaking for a long time. There was no sign of life within 10,000 miles. The Dragon Emperor's destruction affected the outside world, and the destructive force buried the Dragon Emperor mountain, completely burying the history of the dragon race. Outside the Dragon Emperor mountain, a white-haired figure stood in the air and did not leave for a long time, as if he was waiting for something. Between heaven and earth, the remaining dragon chi of the Dragon Emperor mountain overflowed and gradually disappeared. The great plan of the demon race was destroyed overnight. All the dragon chi, including the Dragon Emperor sword, was exhausted. The divine sword covered its blade and fell into a deep sleep. The sun set and the moon rose. Time passed slowly, but there was still no movement in the destroyed Dragon Emperor mountain. Ning Chen's eyes were gradually filled with worry. Immortal Elder. A palm-sized boy appeared on Ning Chen's shoulder. He looked like he was carved from jade. Looking at the dragon chi in the air, he said softly, "I want this dragon chi." Ning Chen's expression turned serious when he heard that. "You want it? There is very little dragon chi left. Is it useful to you?" The little gourd nodded gently and said, "The level of dragon chi is very high. For me, a little is enough." Ning Chen replied softly and raised his right hand. Suddenly, A wild wind blew in the sky above the Dragon Emperor Mountain, and a huge vortex appeared. Endless suction force spread out rapidly, devouring all the dragon chi in the air. After a few breaths, the wild wind stopped. Ningchen raised his hand, and a ball of golden chi flew out from the center of the vortex. It was only the size of a fist, but its pure aura was incomparable to ordinary spiritual chi. The little gourd's beautiful big eyes were filled with joy when it saw it. "Here you are." Ningchen handed the dragon chi to the little boy and said softly, "Thank you, immortal elder." The little gourd hugged the dragon chi that was half the size of its body and bowed reluctantly. "Okay, play by yourself. Be careful, don't be discovered." A warm smile appeared on Ningchen's face as he spoke. The little gourd replied obediently, and immediately hid in the forbidden land of the underworld and disappeared. The short interlude did not take up too much time. Ningchen stood quietly in the air, looking ahead and waiting patiently. Since the dragon monarch had something to ask of him, he would not lie to him. Since his master had not appeared yet, he must have encountered some trouble. He would just have to wait. The night grew darker and darker. The bright moon was moving westward, making the collapsed Dragon Emperor Mountain even more miserable. Suddenly, from the sunken ground, a shocking devil chi soared into the sky, piercing through the clouds. Outside the Dragon Monarch Mountain, Ningchen's face turned serious when he saw this. He finally came out. Rumbling sounds could be heard as huge cracks appeared on the ground, extending for thousands of miles. Demonic chi surged from beneath the ground, shaking the heavens and earth. The Supreme Emperor reappeared. Above the 9 heavens, the stars flickered, unable to bear this terrifying demonic might. Outside the Dragon Emperor Mountain, Ningchen suddenly frowned. Other than his master, there were other demonic energies. In the next moment, an endless amount of demonic flames rose up from the ground. Within the demonic flames, powerful auras appeared one after another, suppressing the 9 heavens and 10 earths, causing everyone to be fearful. The 4 supreme demon emperors appeared. At this moment, they were all dyed red, especially the 7 luminaries demon emperor and the 8 desolation demon emperor. Half of their bodies were devoured, and their battle robes were dyed red. The dragon monarch risked his life to launch a shocking final attack, severely injuring the 4 heavenly demon emperors. However, what was even more shocking was that behind the 4 emperors, in Xianzhen's arms, a figure covered in blood came into view. His arms were hanging limply, and his vitality had dissipated. His body and soul had disappeared. The 7th prince of the heavenly demon emperor, the genius of the 100 races, had returned to heaven and earth, completely withdrawing from the battle for the throne. The 7 luminaries demon emperor clenched his right hand so tightly that it made cracking sounds. Even though the demon emperor was fickle, he could not remain indifferent when his only son died. "Master!" Ningchen stepped forward and came before everyone in an instant. He asked, "Are you all right?" Seeing his disciple, Xian Jiuyo sized him up and heaved a sigh of relief inwardly. It was good that he was fine. "I'm fine. Are you hurt?" Xian Jiuyo asked with concern. "Just some minor injuries." "It's nothing serious," Ningchen replied. The first demon emperor looked at the young man in front of him and frowned slightly. He asked, "How did you get out?" In the small world, they clearly saw the dragon monarch about to attack this young man. With the dragon monarch's strength, this young man had no chance of surviving. "It was the Xian Jie that protected me. I barely escaped," Ningchen said. "The Xian Jie 9 transformations?" The first demon emperor narrowed his eyes. He did not ask any more questions for the sake of Xian Jiuyo's face. "The dragon monarch's sword is lost. It's hard to find it now. Let's go back and think about it," Xian Jiuyo said solemnly. The first demon emperor nodded. He glanced at the severely injured 7 luminaries and 8 desolation and said, "Let's go back to the ancestral land." As soon as he finished speaking, demonic chi spread out and took everyone to the bronze chariot in the sky. In the clouds, the bronze chariot started and flew toward the primordial demon field. After the bronze chariot left, many figures appeared above the ruins of the Dragon Monarch Mountain. Looking at the scene below, their hearts were in turmoil. The Dragon Monarch Mountain was destroyed. Had the Dragon Monarch sword really fallen into the hands of the Heavenly Devil royal family? Everyone knew the power of the Dragon Monarch sword. The Heavenly Devil clan already had 4 demon emperors. With the addition of the Dragon Monarch sword, the other clans would face true fear. The bronze chariot arrived at the ancestral land of the Heavenly Devil clan. The 3 demon emperors, 7 luminaries, and 8 desolation, descended from the sky and entered the ancestral land. After a while, the bronze chariot drove into the void and returned to the ancestral land. At the same time, Xian Jiuyo returned with Ning Qin in the Jiuyo mansion. The two looked at each other in silence. "Go and rest," Xian Jiuyo said calmly. "Okay." Ning Qin nodded and did not say anything. He turned and walked toward the backyard. Looking at Ning Qin's back, Xian Jiuyo had mixed feelings. He knew that this disciple was hiding something from him. He did not ask because he did not want to force him. In the backyard of the Jiuyo mansion, Ning Qin walked over. He looked at the room in front of him but did not enter. In the yard, the cold wind blew and the bamboo swayed. The late autumn night was getting colder and colder. Frost formed on the bamboo leaves and dyed the bamboo white. Ning Qin stood in the yard and looked at the swaying bamboo. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. It was time to open the mansion. The Jiuyo king had become a sovereign. His status in the Heavenly Devil royal family had also risen. It was only a matter of time before he opened the mansion. The most important thing was that he could not stay in the Jiuyo mansion forever. Otherwise, the Jiuyo king would see all his actions clearly. It was not that he did not trust the Jiuyo king. It was just that their positions were different. The Jiuyo king could not ignore what he was about to do. In the 3rd Crown Prince's mansion, Xian Qing sat on the main seat and kept thinking about what to do next. Xian Ling had died in the Dragon Monarch Mountain. This was something that he had not expected. He knew better than anyone what this meant. The 3 crown princes of the Heavenly Devil royal family protected each other. No one dared to act rashly. However, now that Xian Ling had left, this balance was completely broken. From now on, the battle between him and the 1st Crown Prince would be completely out in the open. It would be white-hot. "3rd Imperial Brother, why did you summon me this evening?" As they spoke, a black-robed young man walked over and asked, "What's the matter?" "7th brother is dead," Xian Qing said when he saw the man. Xian Yu was shocked when he heard this. His eyes were filled with disbelief. "No need to doubt it. This is true. I saw it with my own eyes," Xian Qing said in a low voice. Xian Yu quickly came back to his senses and said, "3rd brother, you have to be mentally prepared. Our battle with the 1st Crown Prince is about to officially begin." Xian Qing nodded and said, "I understand." "3rd brother, have you thought about what to do?" Xian Yu asked. Xian Qing nodded and said in a low voice, "Use all of 7th brother's forces. Also, think of a way to rope in 13th brother." 13th brother? Hearing this, Xian Yu frowned and said, "Now that 9th Imperial Uncle has attained the Imperial Dao, 13th brother's status will rise greatly, and he might even be conferred the title of Crown Prince. If we rope him in, won't we be inviting trouble?" 13th brother is different from us," Xian Qing said seriously. "He's not a direct descendant of the royal family. Even if he has an extraordinary status because of 9th uncle, it's still difficult for him to inherit the throne. After all, no matter how strong 9th uncle is, he's only one person. Father and the other 2 uncles won't allow a prince who's not a direct descendant of the royal family to inherit the throne." Xian Yu frowned again. Although that was what Xian Qing said, he still felt that 13th brother was extraordinary. He definitely wasn't someone easy to deal with. 6th brother, in the next few months, I'll leave the fight for 7th brother's forces to you. I'll focus on roping in 13th brother. As long as he helps, we can forcefully suppress the 1st Crown Prince, Xian Qing said seriously. Xian Yu nodded, but his eyes were filled with confusion. He said, "3rd brother, what happened in Dragon Monarch Mountain? With the 4 demon emperors, how could 7th brother be in trouble?" Xian Qing sighed softly. Thinking about what happened in Dragon Monarch Mountain, he still felt a bit scared and didn't want to talk about it anymore. He said, "It's not something that can be explained in 2 or 3 sentences. I'll tell you in detail in the future. Now that 7th uncle and 8th uncle are severely injured, they'll definitely enter seclusion for a period of time. During this period, father's authority will reach its peak. This is also our best chance. Xian Yu nodded. I understand. At the same time, in the first crown prince's mansion, Xian Zhen and the 5th prince looked at each other as thoughts flashed through their minds. Brother, we have to get rid of 13th brother as soon as possible. The 5th prince said in a deep voice. Because of Xian Yu, the first crown prince's mansion couldn't form an alliance with 13th brother. Those who couldn't be used by them had to be eliminated as soon as possible. Xian Zhen sat quietly on the throne. After a long while, he nodded and said, Let Battle King prepare. Just as the 2 crown princes' mansions made their decisions, the 9th prince in blue stood there for several hours, staring at the broken soul jade on the table in front of him. 7th brother was dead. A trace of sorrow flashed through Xian Kei's eyes, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the eastern horizon, the white of a fish belly emerged. The sky was about to brighten. The morning of the day was about to arrive. Xian Kei came back to his senses and said, Men, prepare the invitation. Now, it was time for him to make a decision again. Chapter 1073. In the backyard of the 9th Serenity King Manor, Ning Chen had been standing there the whole night. He had not gone to his room to rest. The Heavenly Devil Imperial City was fraught with danger. He could not afford to make any mistakes. Ning Chen was seriously considering every step in the future. He did not dare to be careless. Your Highness, the 9th prince has sent an invitation. At this moment, outside the backyard, a King Manor guard quickly walked in and reported respectfully. Got it? You can leave. Ning Chen came back to his senses and said, Yes. The guard accepted the order and left. Ning Chen walked out of the backyard and walked towards the front hall. In the King Manor, the invitation was placed on the table. Ning Chen picked it up and frowned after reading it. The 9th prince was coming? Why did Xian Kei come at this time? Ning Chen's thoughts flashed through his mind. The 9th prince Xian Kei was undoubtedly the biggest loser. Without Xian Ling's protection, Xian Kei's forces would be hard to defend. Now that Xian Kei had come, his purpose was worth thinking about. While he was thinking, outside the 9th Serenity King Manor, a young man in blue walked in. His slightly sinister face became much calmer. Xian Kei arrived. In front of the manor, 2 guards immediately saluted. Your Highness, the 9th prince. Get up, go and report. Xian Kei said. One of the guards accepted the order and quickly went into the manor to report. In front of the King Manor, the guards stopped and saluted respectfully. Your Highness, the 9th prince requests an audience. Let him in. Inside the manor, Ning Chen said calmly. The guard accepted the order and walked towards the manor. Not long after, Xian Kei's figure appeared outside the King Manor and walked in. Ning Chen walked out of the King Manor and greeted politely, Greetings, 9th brother. 13th brother, no need to be so polite. Xian Kei took 2 steps forward and helped Ning Chen up. He said, I am here today to apologize to 13th brother. Ning Chen was puzzled and said, 9th brother, what do you mean? Your Highness, please have a chat. Xian Kei nodded and followed Ning Chen into the King Manor. 9th brother, please sit. Ning Chen said. Thank you. Xian Kei spoke courteously, and then he walked to his seat and sat down. Xiu, serve tea. Ning Chen looked at the woman standing not far away and said. Xiu accepted the order and quickly walked towards the back of the palace. 9th Imperial brother, what do you mean by what you said just now? I'm stupid, I don't understand what you mean. Ning Chen walked to the opposite side of Xian Kei and asked softly. It's not a big deal, but 9th Imperial brother still thinks that it's better to be honest with 13th Imperial brother. Xian Kei sighed softly. He looked at Xiu who was walking over from the back of the palace and said, Xiu, I have already set your family members free. You can see them at any time. When Xiu heard this, her body trembled, and the tea tray in her hand almost fell. A little of the tea spilled out, scalding Xiu's hands. Xiu forced herself to endure, stepping forward to put down the tea tray. Be careful, don't always be so reckless. Ningchen said faintly, go down and apply some ointment for burns. Xiu lowered her head and accepted the order. She suppressed the excitement in her heart and walked out of the hall. Ninth Imperial Brother, please don't blame me. It's my fault for not being strict enough and lacking in manners. Ningchen looked ahead and said with a smile. 13th Imperial Brother, you're too polite. Xian Ke sighed softly, it's not that Xiu was lacking in manners. It's just that what I said just now made her too excited. Ninth Imperial Brother, what do you mean? Ningchen picked up a teacup, poured tea, and pushed it in front of Xian Quebec, Xiu, Shiqing. They are spies that I deliberately placed in 13th Imperial Brother's residence. I don't have any hostility. I'm just following your 7th Imperial Brother's request. After all, 13th Imperial Brother's identity is special. If we want to win 13th Imperial Brother over, we must know your preferences. Xian Ke said with a hint of apology in his tone. I see. Ning Chen's face showed a look of understanding. He immediately smiled and said, 9th Imperial Brother, you're too serious. If you just want to find out how Imperial Brother is doing, these two girls can't be considered spies. You can just ask anyone in the palace and you'll know. It's good that 13th Imperial Brother doesn't blame me. Xian Ke breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the person in front of him and said seriously, 13th Imperial Brother, something happened to 7th Imperial Brother. You should already know about this. Ning Chen's eyes flashed with regret. He said, something happened in the Dragon Emperor Mountain. 7th Imperial Brother couldn't avoid this disaster. It's really sad. 7th Imperial Brother is kind. I didn't expect that he would encounter such a disaster. Xian Ke sighed. The dead are gone. We still have to look forward. 13th Imperial Brother, you should know about the current situation in the Imperial City. 7th Imperial Brother's accident has broken the balance. In the future, we may all be involved in this huge whirlpool of imperial power. As long as we don't get tempted by power and insist on staying out of it, what's there to be afraid of? Ningchen said softly. 13th Imperial Brother, you're thinking too simply. Xian Ke said solemnly, the current situation in the Imperial City will soon be clear. The battle between the two crown princes will come out from the dark. Even if we want to stay out of it, it's hard to guarantee that we won't be involved. Hearing this, Ningchen frowned and said, according to 9th Imperial Brother, what should we do? Ally, advance and retreat together. Xian Ke said seriously, I still have some bargaining chips in my hands. Adding on 13th Imperial Brother's status, even the two crown princes won't dare to underestimate you. In the future, whether we advance or retreat, the initiative will be in our hands. Hearing this, Ningchen fell silent. After a long while, he nodded and said, 9th Imperial Brother's words are indeed reasonable. At this time, only by strengthening ourselves can we better protect ourselves. 9th Imperial Brother is in charge of the Imperial City's laws and has a deep foundation. I still need to rely on 9th Imperial Brother's care. We're brothers. There's no need to be so polite. Xian Ke smiled. So, 13th Imperial Brother agrees? 9th Imperial Brother thinks highly of me. I can't not know what's good for me. Ningchen said softly. Good. Xian Ke stood up and picked up the teacup. He looked at the person in front of him and said seriously, I'll replace wine with tea and propose a toast to 13th Imperial Brother. From today onwards, you and I are officially allies. We'll share honor and disgrace, advance and retreat together. Ningchen stood up and raised the teacup. He said calmly, it's my honor. The teacups clinked and the two drank the tea at the same time. Then they smiled at each other and sat down again. 13th Imperial Brother, I heard that you went to visit the Imperial Army's Grand Commander a few days ago. How was it? Xian Ke asked curiously. We just drank some wine, Ningchen explained. Grand Commander Xian Mo is an upright person. Even if you want to rope him in, you can't do it. Xian Ke nodded and said, this person is indeed unmoved by force or persuasion. He's always been neutral. Otherwise, the three demon emperors wouldn't be at ease to entrust the heavy responsibility of guarding the Imperial City to him. The two talked from early morning until noon. They seemed to be drinking and chatting happily. At noon, Xian Ke stood up and said goodbye. He left reluctantly. In the imperial palace, Ning Chen's eyes gradually turned cold as he watched the former leave. It had been a long time since he felt that someone was as shameless as him. The 9th imperial prince, Xian Quebec. He had underestimated him in the past. Chapter 1074. Ever since the 4 emperors returned from the Dragon Monarch Mountain, all the races in the world had their eyes on the primeval demon domain, waiting for the next move of the celestial demon clan. The 4 demon emperors attacked the Dragon Monarch Mountain for something big. It was impossible for them to calm down. However, to everyone's surprise, since the 4 demon emperors returned from the Dragon Monarch Mountain, they remained silent and didn't do anything. A few days later, a shocking piece of news spread in the primeval demon domain, shocking the entire primeval demon domain. The 7th prince of the celestial demon royal family, Xian Ling, was severely injured and died in the Dragon Monarch Mountain. The fall of the celestial demon crown prince shocked the world. Within a few days, it spread to every corner of the primeval demon realm. The celestial demon clan was the overlord of the primeval demon domain, and its royal family was the most respected in the world. Therefore, the crown prince of the celestial demon royal family had a supreme position in the entire primeval demon domain. No one had thought that a celestial demon crown prince would die in the Dragon Monarch Mountain. 4 demon emperors attacked together, and a crown prince died. This meant that the danger in the Dragon Monarch Mountain was beyond everyone's imagination. For a time, guesses about whether the Dragon Monarch sword had fallen into the hands of the celestial demon royal family were spread everywhere. In the 9th Underworld King's mansion in the 3 Imperial City, Ning Chen looked at the secret reports sent from the 9th Prince's mansion. His fingers tapped on the table as he pondered. The 9th Prince was in charge of the criminal law of the Imperial City. The intelligence network in his hands was what he needed the most. Although the celestial demon royal family's successor had nothing to do with him, he would be very interested if he could use this opportunity to stir up trouble in the 3 Imperial City and severely injure the celestial demon royal family. Coincidentally, he wasn't best at martial arts. Instead, he was best at stirring up trouble in this sinister hell. Your Highness. She walked over and served him tea. She said softly, the mansion bestowed by the demon emperor needs to be cleaned. Should Shirqing and I go over first? Ning Chen took a sip of tea and nodded. He said, bring your family over too. The mansion is short of people. Shiyu was excited. She took 2 steps back and knelt down. She said gratefully, Shiyu and Shirqing thank your Highness for your kindness. Your Highness. I don't like people who kneel, and I don't like others kneeling to me. Ning Chen looked at the woman kneeling on the ground and said calmly, get up and talk. Shiyu stood up and said, Shirqing and I will remember your Highness's great kindness in our hearts. We will repay your Highness's kindness even if we have to work like an ox or a horse in this lifetime. I don't need you to work like a cow or a horse. Just do your job properly. You may leave. This servant will take her leave. Shiyu, palace's palace. At this moment, in the imperial palace, the void swirled and an illusory figure surrounded by demonic chi appeared. He looked at the young man in front of him and spoke. Heaven Underworld Demon Mansion. Was Heaven Emperor Demon Emperor? Xian Jiuyo nodded and said, with your current status, it is indeed not suitable for you to stay here. After you establish your own residence, you must be more careful. In this imperial city, there are many people who want to get rid of you. Ning Chen replied, I'll take Shiyu and Shirqing with me. There are many things I still need them to do. Xian of this. He looked at the disciple in front of him and said, Ning Chen, tell me the truth. Are you going to get involved in the battle for the throne? Ning Chen nodded and said calmly, Master ought to be aware that even if I intend to stay out of this matter, Crown Prince Xian Zhen and Crown Prince Xian Qing would not agree to it. Since it's like this, why don't I take the initiative to make a move and take the initiative in my own hands? Xian Jiuyo was silent for a moment, then sighed softly, I originally didn't want you to get involved in the battle for the throne, but since you've already decided, I won't force you. However, no matter what the result is, don't let yourself regret it. Master, don't worry. A wisp of a smile appeared on Ning Chen's face as he said, Master, you should be able to discern that even though my natural talent in cultivation is insufficient and can't compare to the prince's, but if it's in terms of scheming, then I alone am sufficient to match all of them. You should understand that too much is easy to break. There will always be times when one is careless. The most important thing is to improve one's strength. That's the right path. Xian Jiuyo said seriously. I understand. Ning Chen smiled and said, Master, don't worry. I'm no longer a little kid that's inexperienced, and I know who's more important. Xian Jiuyo sighed softly and said, Master is getting old and has become a little long-winded. Master, you're in your prime. Who dares to say that you're old? Ning Chen pretended to be confused. Xian Jiuyo chuckled and said, You're the best at flattery. All right, I'm going to continue recuperating in seclusion. If there's anything you can't solve, you must wait for me to come out of seclusion. I understand. Goodbye, Master. Ning Chen bowed respectfully. Inside the palace, the demonic qi disappeared. Ripples appeared in the air. In a flash, the emperor's figure faded and disappeared. Ning Chen looked out of the palace. The morning sun shone on the ground. It was so warm. It was a good day to go out. After thinking for a while, Ning Chen gathered his thoughts and walked out of the palace. In the western part of the city, in the Imperial Army camp, 2 Imperial Army instructors were sparring on a black demon ceiling stone sparring stage. The sounds of punches and kicks compressing space filled the air, and the several hundred soldiers below were seething with excitement. Outside the Imperial Army's camp, Ning Chen walked in. In front of the camp, 2 soldiers reached out to stop him. Ning Chen took out a token from his waist and showed it to the 2. Greetings, 13th Prince. The 2 Imperial Army soldiers immediately half-knelt and bowed. Rise. Ning Chen smiled and said, Is Commander Xian Mo here? Your Highness, the commander is receiving an important guest inside, one of the Imperial Army soldiers said. Important guest? Hearing this, Ning Chen's eyes flashed. Who is it? 6th Prince. The Imperial Army soldier replied. 6th Prince Xianyu? Ning Chen heard this name before and was slightly surprised. Why is he here? Xianyu was one of the 12 princes and princesses who kept a low profile. He seemed to be in the Crown Prince's camp and rarely showed himself. Please help me inform him, Ning Chen said. 13th Prince, please wait. The Imperial Army soldier replied and quickly walked toward the camp. After a few minutes, the Imperial Army general who went to inform Ning Chen came back. Looking at the young figure in front of the camp, he said respectfully, 13th Prince, the commander invites you in. Thank you. Ning Chen replied and walked into the barracks. In the Imperial Army camp, the Imperial Army soldiers were training step by step. The most eye-catching was the intense battle on the sparring stage. Hundreds of people were watching and it was very lively. In front of the sparring stage, 2 figures stood side by side. One was wearing heavy armor and looked very steady. The other was wearing black and looked very feminine. Grand Commander, 6th brother. Ning Chen walked forward and clasped his fists. It's 13th brother. Seeing who it was, Xianyu smiled and said, 13th brother, how come you have time to visit the Imperial Army camp today? Ning Chen smiled and replied, I was bored in the mansion, so I came out for a walk. I didn't expect to come here, so I came in to take a look. Hearing this, Xianyu sneered in his heart. What a load of nonsense. The 9th Underworld King's mansion was more than 100 miles away. Even a fool wouldn't believe it. Where is 6th brother? Why are you here? Ning Chen asked. Just like 13th brother, I came to take a look. Xianyu collected his thoughts and smiled. On the side, Xian Mo quietly watched the confrontation between the 2. She felt helpless in her heart. The children of the imperial family were born with shrewdness that ordinary people could not compare to. This 6th prince was undoubtedly one of the best. She had to be on guard against him. As for this disciple of the 9th Underworld King, After the drinking competition last time, his impression of him had changed a lot. Seeing him again today, this disciple showed him a different side. Ingenuity, cunning, or sincerity, he couldn't tell at the moment. Boom! On the sparring stage, an Imperial Army instructor shouted and sent his opponent flying 100 steps away with a punch. His abnormally strong physical body was very eye-catching. Ningchen shifted his gaze and looked at the Imperial Army instructor on the battle stage. His face was full of admiration as he said, "Expert. I heard that 13th brother's strength is amazing. Why don't you go up and spar?" Xianyu said. Ningchen looked sideways and said, "Sure, but how about adding some stakes?" Xianyu narrowed his eyes and said, "13th brother, what stakes do you want? I've always heard that there is a black prison mountain in 6th brother's treasury. It has amazing magnetism and 13th brother is very interested in it. I just don't know if 6th brother is willing to take it out," Ningchen said. Xianyu's heart sank when he heard this. This disciple had only been in the imperial family for a few days, but he already knew so much about the items in his residence. It seemed that 13th brother wasn't as aloof as he seemed. It's not impossible to take out the Black Prison Mountain as a stake, but there is a reciprocal. 13th brother should show some sincerity, Xianyu said calmly. My sincerity is very simple. If 6th brother wins, I will never step into the 3rd prince's residence, Ningchen said with a smile. Xianyu's eyes flashed when he heard Ningchen's message. This stake was indeed not small. Everyone knew the current situation in the imperial family. The 2 crown princes were fighting for the throne, and everyone was choosing their side. 13th brother's action was blocking his only way out. With such a huge bet, was he really that confident in himself? Ningchen looked at the 6th prince, and a faint sneer appeared on his face. He had never intended to side with the 3rd prince, so this stake was worthless. He had come here to rope in Xian Mo, the Grand Commander of the Imperial Army. If he could win Xianyu's Black Prison Mountain, it would be a pleasant surprise. Xianyu is at the King Realm. Xian Mo, who hadn't spoken until now, reminded Ningchen. I know. Ningchen looked at the demon sealing stone and smiled. I only dare to make such a choice because I'm with big brother Xian Mo. With the demon sealing stone, Xianyu's cultivation wouldn't be suppressed. If he still couldn't win, then he wouldn't have the face to see his monstrous friends. If he said that there was a problem with the 6th prince, then there really was a problem with the 6th prince. As the 2 of them conversed, the battle on the arena grew more and more intense, and it shook the heavens and the earth to the point the surrounding space shook. With a rumbling sound, the fist energy brushed past Ningchen's body and shattered the flagpole in the distance. Ningchen's fists turned into palms. Pulling, guiding, shifting. Using a technique never seen before, he instantly dispelled the power of the former's move. After gaining the upper hand in one move, Ningchen took half a step forward and pushed his right shoulder forward, knocking his opponent away. 10 zhang away, Xianyu stopped. His eyes were filled with shock. What kind of battle technique was that? Why had he never seen it before? In front of the battle arena, Xian Mo and Yun Hong saw the changes in the battle situation, and their expressions flashed with surprise. The 13th prince's move just now was very strange. It seemed slow, but when he attacked at the end, it was as fast as lightning. It was hard to see clearly. The 2 of them once again clashed on the arena. Facing a battle technique he had never seen before, Xianyu's attacks were filled with fear. Gradually, he fell into a disadvantage. 6th brother, I'll be taking your Black Prison Mountain. As soon as he finished speaking, Ningchen raised his hand and grabbed the former's arm. Then he borrowed the momentum to step forward and punch out. The moment the punch landed, Xianyu's body flew dozens of zhang away and fell off the arena. The sudden change made everyone unable to recover from their shock. The hundreds of Imperial Army soldiers were all stunned. No one understood what had just happened. Below the sparring arena, a look of thought flashed across Yun Hong's eyes as he said, Grand Commander, it seems that we need to change our views. Xian Mo nodded. This battle had indeed given them a huge shock. It turned out that strength wasn't all about speed and toughness. On the other side, Xianyu recovered from his shock and looked at the young man on the arena. After a long while, he said, "If you agree to a bet, you have to accept your loss. From today onwards, the Black Prison Mountain is yours." After saying that, Xian Yu flipped his right hand and a palm-sized black magnetic mountain flew forward. When the Black Prison Mountain appeared, all the weapons in the Imperial Army camp began to tremble. In the next moment, they all flew toward the Black Magnetic Mountain. On the battle stage, Ningchen caught the flying Black Prison Mountain and put it away with a flip of his palm. Shortly after, he waved his right hand and sent all the divine weapons flying towards him back. "Thank you, sixth brother." Ningchen looked at the figure below the arena and smiled. "No need. This is what you deserve. I still have matters to attend to at my residence, so I won't accompany you any longer. Goodbye." After saying that, Xian Yu didn't stay any longer and left. Ningchen narrowed his eyes as he watched the sixth prince leave. Was the sixth prince's shrewdness so shallow? Or did the sixth prince do it on purpose? In the third prince's residence, Xian Qing sat on the throne and looked at the black-clothed figure walking toward him. "How was it?" "Xian Imo is too difficult to rope in. I suggest we give up for now," Xian Yu said softly. "However, there was a pleasant surprise today. Why don't you take a guess?" Xian Qing frowned and said, "You went to the Imperial Army camp. Other than Xian Imo, what else is there?" Xian Yu smiled faintly and said, "I met 13th brother." 13th brother? Xian Qing looked surprised and said, "He went there too." Xian Yu nodded and said helplessly, "He also lost my Black Prison Mountain to him." Xian Qing's eyes were filled with interest. "What do you mean?" "It's like this." Xian Yu told Xian Qing everything that happened in the Imperial Army camp, especially the details of his battle with 13th brother. 13th brother is so strong, Xian Qing said in surprise. "I wanted to lose to him on purpose, but I didn't expect to lose to him in the end," Xian Yu said with a bitter smile. "It's fine if you lose." Xian Qing smiled and said, "If 13th brother can come to our side with Black Prison Mountain, it's worth it." "I hope so." Xian Yu nodded and said, "Third brother, I can't stay here for long. I have to go." "Okay." Xian Qing nodded and said, "You have to be careful around first brother. Don't reveal any flaws." "Understood." Xian Yu replied softly. Without saying anything else, he turned around and left. Chapter 1076. In the Imperial Army camp, Xian Yu left after a probing contest, looking very displeased. The emotions that he should not have shown made Ningchen suspicious. The 12 princes and princesses of the Sky Devil royal family were not simple people. The tolerance that the sixth prince showed was not in line with his identity. Everything went too far. Xian Yu's behavior made Ningchen suspicious. After thinking for a while, Ningchen collected his thoughts and walked down the stage. Looking at the middle-aged man below, he smiled and said, "Brother Xian Imo, I embarrassed myself just now. Your Highness, you are too humble. Your performance really opened our eyes," Xian Imo said with emotion. "I learned a martial art in the past, but it was difficult to integrate it into battle. Thanks to Master's Flying Swan formula, I had the chance to try it." Ningchen smiled and continued, "However, it is my first time using it, so I am a little rusty. Although the Flying Swan formula can integrate martial arts in the world, it requires too much talent, which happens to be my weakness. Diligence makes up for stupidity. Your Highness, you have surpassed everyone in your generation. Talent is not important." Xian Imo looked at the man in front of him and said seriously. "Ah." Beside him, Yun Hong chuckled and said, "Commander, why do I feel that you are praising yourself?" "Brother Yun, you must be joking. I'm just stating facts. Your Highness' attainments in martial arts have indeed surpassed all the geniuses of the younger generation. Even when compared to old monsters like us, you're not inferior at all," Xian Imo said with a serious expression. "You're too rigid. I was just joking." Yun Hong shook his head helplessly and said, "Everyone in the primordial demon region knows about your Highness's strength. Do we need to talk about it?" "Who is this brother?" Ningchen looked at the man beside Xian Imo and asked. "Yun Hong, the fist technique instructor of the Imperial Army camp." Xian Imo introduced him formally. "Brother Yun Hong, I have heard a lot about you. Ningchen cupped his fists and said politely, Your Highness, you are too polite. Yunhong smiled and said, I have heard a lot about Your Highness, but I have never had the chance to meet you. Seeing you today, Your Highness is indeed extraordinary. Are you two hypocrites? Xian Mo said lightly. Yunhong laughed and said, What does a blockhead like you know? This is the most basic form of courtesy. Only a blockhead like you would find it hypocritical. Ningchen also smiled and said, Brother Xian Mo is an upright person. Of course, he is not used to it. Unlike me, I have almost forgotten what is sincerity after so many years. I talk to whoever I meet and talk nonsense. Xian Mo didn't continue on this topic and asked, Your Highness, what brings you here today? It's not a big deal. It's just that I'll be moving to a new residence soon. When the time comes, I'd like to invite Brother Xian Mo over for a visit. Ningchen said seriously. Create momentum? Xian Mo directly asked. Ningchen wasn't hypocritical and said honestly, Besides my master, I don't have any foundation in the Three Emperors city. If Brother Xian Mo can go there, you can certainly intimidate many people. Beside him, Yunhong's eyes flashed. This 13th prince was really bold. He had not expected him to state his intentions so directly. Everyone knew that Commander Xian Mo didn't participate in the fight for the throne. Back then, the three crown princes had tried to rope her in more than once. In the end, none of them succeeded. He more or less understood the commander's temper. She wouldn't compromise if she didn't want to do it. Sure. Just then, Xian Mo nodded and said, When the time comes, just send someone to inform me. Commander, you? On the side, Yunhong's face was filled with shock. The commander agreed? Did he hear it wrong? I'm just going there for a visit. What's there to be surprised about? Xian Mo said indifferently. It's nothing for others, but the commander is different. Yunhong came back to his senses and said with a smile, After so many years, I've never seen the commander go to any prince's residence for a visit. When did you become so long-winded? Xian Mo said indifferently. Yunhong chuckled and said, I won't say any more. 13th prince, when the time comes, can I also get a cup of wine to drink? Brother Yunhong, if you can do me the honor, I can't ask for more. Ningchen said seriously. Hong Yun smiled and didn't say anything else. He didn't know much about the 13th prince and didn't think highly of him compared to the other princes. However, he believed in the first commander's judgment. A person who could make the first commander look at him in a different light was definitely not someone ordinary. In the next half-day, Ningchen followed the two to visit the Imperial Army camp. The weakest of the Imperial Army's elite troops was at the Treading Immortal Realm. The Imperial Army had more than 10,000 soldiers and was invincible. When the sun was about to set, Ningchen left the camp and walked towards the 9th Underworld King's residence. On the street, the sky was getting dark and the lanterns were being lit. The bustling Imperial city also began to quiet down at night. Ningchen walked on the street, thinking about something as he walked. His pace wasn't fast. He still hadn't returned to his residence when the sky was completely dark. 13. Just then, an extremely heavy demonic aura descended from the sky without any warning. It shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Hearing the voice of the first demon emperor, Ningchen was shocked. He looked at the void in front of him and his heart was in turmoil. He didn't notice it at all. Was the demon emperor so much more powerful than him? After a moment of shock, Ningchen quickly collected his thoughts and suppressed the shock in his heart. He bowed respectfully and said, Demon Emperor, you may rise. The first Demon Emperor said calmly. Thank you, Demon Emperor. Ningchen straightened his body and looked forward. Demon Emperor, do you have any orders for me? I'm here to give you a task. You must complete it on the day of the opening ceremony. The first Demon Emperor said in a deep voice. Ningchen frowned hearing this and said, What is it? Eliminate the Howling Moon royal family. The first Demon Emperor said coldly. Ningchen was stunned. The Howling Moon royal family? That enormous existence that was comparable to the royal family? As for the specifics, someone will inform you very soon. What you need to do is to act according to orders and eliminate them. Remember, I don't want any survivors. I don't want any of them. The first Kuan demon emperor said coldly. Soon after, his figure faded and gradually disappeared. Don't tell your master about this. At least, don't let him know before the mission is completed. The first demon emperor left. His last words echoed in the heavens and earth for a long time. Ning Chen's expression darkened. What exactly was this number one demon emperor of the demon clan planning? How could a colossus like the Howling Moon Royal clan be destroyed so easily? How was the celestial demonic imperial clan going to deal with the endless gossip of the world? Although the heavenly demon royal family was powerful, it was impossible for them to go against the entire primordial demon realm. In front of the 9 Nether King residents, Ning Chen recovered from his thoughts. He looked at the palace in front of him and hesitated. Should I tell my master about this? Chapter 1077. The night was chilly in the 9th Underworld King's mansion. Ning Chen returned and stood in front of the king's palace, thinking carefully about the order given by the first Underworld Demon King. The order to exterminate a clan was terrifying, especially when the target was a powerful royal family. The Howl Moon Royal clan had always kept a low profile, and there was very little information about this clan in the world. However, no one could deny that the Howl Moon Royal clan was formidable. Especially the current Howl Moon King. Supposedly, he was already halfway through the monarch realm, and he was extremely terrifying. He didn't understand why the celestial devil imperial family would make such a decision. The 3 demon sovereigns should have understood this logic. Why is His Highness so troubled every day? I have never seen His Highness rest since he came to the king's mansion. Outside the king's palace, Shi Qing looked at the white-haired figure in front of the king's palace and asked. Everyone has their own troubles. His Highness is not a direct descendant of the royal family. It is definitely not just luck that allowed him to come this far. Shiyu sighed. These days, basically all the members of the royal family in the imperial city have come to visit. Even several princes have come. They undoubtedly want to borrow the power of your highness. The situation in the imperial city is complicated. Even your highness has to deal with it carefully. With the 9th underworld king around, who dares to make things difficult for his highness? Shi Qing was puzzled. The 9th underworld king is indeed powerful, but he is not the only demon king in the 3 imperial city. While speaking, Shi Yu looked at the 3 imperial palace in the distance. The 3 demon kings were the real masters of the heavenly demon clan. The 9th underworld king had not been involved in worldly affairs for many years. His influence on the heavenly demon clan was far less than the 3 demon kings. Shi Qing listened to her elder sister's words, but she did not fully understand. All right, let's go back. Don't disturb His Highness. Shi Yu said calmly, then turned and walked towards the backyard. Shi Qing took one last look at the figure in front of the king's palace and followed her with a puzzled expression. 5 days later, in the west of the 3 imperial city, a luxurious mansion was newly opened 100 miles away from the 9th underworld king's mansion. Many royal family members came to congratulate them. As the owner of the new mansion, Ning Chen was busy entertaining guests for the entire day. More than half of the 12 princes and princesses came. Even the first crown prince and third crown prince chose to come in person at this important moment. The 7 luminaries Devil Emperor and the 8 Desolations Devil Emperor both sent people over to celebrate. Big brother Xianmo, big brother Yunhong, you're finally here. From dawn to dusk, Shiyu and Shi Qing were so busy that they didn't even have time to rest. After the banquet ended, Ning Chen said goodbye to the guests one by one. The smile on his face didn't change at all. After everyone left, Xianmo and Yunhong got up and left together. Are you tired of pretending? Xianmo looked at the young man beside her and asked lightly. I'm used to it. The smile on Ning Chen's face gradually faded. He said seriously, Brother Xianmo, thank you for today. It's nothing. Xianmo replied calmly, and then she strode away. Yunhong smiled at the young man in front of him and followed. After everyone left, Ning Chen closed his eyes tiredly. After 3 breaths, he opened them again and looked like he had recovered. Now, it was time to get down to business. 13th Prince, let's go. At this moment, demonic chi surged in the air. The messenger who left returned. His aura was as strong as Xianmo's. Ningchen nodded. He looked at the 2 girls behind him and said calmly, "Stay in the palace. Don't go out." Shiyu and Shiqing came back to their senses and immediately bowed. Ningchen looked away and walked out of the palace. The messenger disappeared and left the crown prince's palace together. 15 minutes later, 100 miles away from the 3 imperial city, 2 figures appeared. At this moment, in the air, thousands of figures appeared out of nowhere. Their powerful chi was even more terrifying than that of the imperial city's imperial army. The underworld army. Ningchen looked at the thousands of figures and his heart sank. This was a name that he had only learned today. The Celestial Devil Imperial family had specially trained the punitive expedition army with the goal of exterminating the rebels of the 100 races. "Greetings, Your Highness." The 1,000 underworld army half knelt and bowed. "Get up," Ningchen said. He looked towards the southeast and said, "Let's go." The 1,000 underworld army took the order and headed towards the southeast. Chapter 1078. The night was low, the clouds were steaming, and the cold moon reflected the chilliness of the killing intent. Moon Wolf Mountain stretched for thousands of miles. It was where the legendary Howling Moon royal family was located. The mountain range was tall and steep. In the king's domain, the people of the Howling Moon clan were taking in the moonlight as usual. At this moment, dark clouds blocked the moon in the sky above the king's domain. Demonic chi covered the entire Moon Wolf Mountain. What's going on? In the king's domain, the people of the Howling Moon clan were shocked. They looked at the sky in confusion. In front of the Howling Moon royal palace, Song Ming walked out. He looked at the sky with a dark expression. "Howling Moon army, the enemy is attacking. Get ready to fight," Song Ming said in a deep voice. In the west of the king's domain, 3 figures walked out of the Howling Moon army's camp and said respectfully, "Yes." As soon as they said that, black demonic figures appeared in the sky. They descended from the sky and their demonic aura shocked everyone in the king's domain. The underworld army. In front of the king's domain, Song Ming's calm expression changed. It was the underworld army. In the sky, thousands of demonic figures formed hand seals together. Thousands of demonic runes appeared and turned into a demonic net that covered the sky above the king's domain. In an instant, all the spirit chi and moonlight in the entire Moon Wolf Mountain were sucked away. Demonic chi surged and filled every corner. Demonic artifact, heaven-devouring flask. Song Ming could no longer hide the shock on his face when he saw the demonic net. An ancient demonic artifact appeared on the demonic net. The black body of the flask kept absorbing the energy from the Moon Wolf Mountain. As soon as the demonic artifact appeared, the protective formation of Moon Wolf Mountain began to shake violently. The spirit chi was sucked away and dissipated quickly. "Kill them all." In the sky, the white-clothed figure walked out and said coldly as she looked down at the pure land that was exposed, "Yes." Behind him, the 1,000 soldiers of the underworld army received their orders. Their figures flashed as they swiftly descended. In the next moment, the sound of killing was heard. Blood filled the sky. The thousands of underworld army soldiers took innocent lives mercilessly with their black demonic sabers. "Your Highness." Beside Ningchen, a messenger who was dressed in black and had black runes on his face stepped forward and said, "I'll leave young Lord Xiaoyu to you." Ningchen nodded silently. He clenched his right hand and the berserk bone materialized. It was a black saber with surging demonic chi. Taking a step forward, Ning Chen's figure instantly vanished. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the Howling Moon Royal Hall. The berserk bone sword slashed down, filling the eyes with black streaks. In the battle, the 2 figures separated, but in an instant, they collided again. Fist after fist, blade after blade. The 2 were so close to each other. Their fists collided and the blade light pierced through the air, showing no mercy. When the two were fighting, the massacre took place in every corner of the Moonwolf Mountain. The demonic weapon absorbed the moonlight and spiritual chi, and the moon-worshipping clan's strength was severely restricted. They couldn't even fight back against the underworld army. The three commanders of the Howling Moon Army led 3,000 Howling Moon Army soldiers into the battle. The battle instantly turned white-hot as blood filled the air. In the air, the messenger looked down and frowned. The Howling Moon Royal Clan's Howling Moon Army was indeed extraordinary. They could still fight against the Heavenly Demon Clan's underworld army even with the suppression of the sky-devouring gourd. It seemed that the 3 demon spears that the Demon King asked him to prepare were not wasted. With that thought, 3 black demon spears appeared in the messenger's hand. The shocking demonic power distorted the air and caused the entire Moonwolf Mountain to shake. "Watch out!" Song Ming, who was fighting with Ning Chen in front of the palace, felt something and looked up. His eyes narrowed. Song Ming's voice reached the ears of the 3 commanders of the Howling Moon Army. However, it was too late. In the shocking scene, the 3 demon spears broke through the boundary of time and space and instantly arrived in front of the 3 commanders of the Howling Moon Army. Ugh! The spears pierced through their bodies and blood spurted out. The 3 commanders of the Howling Moon Army flew several feet away and were nailed to the ground with a thud. "Young master, let's go." The last words were so soft that they couldn't be heard clearly. The eyes of the 3 commanders of the Howling Moon Army gradually lost their luster as they died. In front of the palace, Song Ming was shocked when he saw this scene. He was absent-minded and was sent flying by a palm strike. There was a loud rumble as the azure-robed figure crashed into the ruins of the palace. Blood spurted out and dyed his azure-robed figure red. Ning Chen looked at the heavily injured Howling Moon young master with a grim expression. "What's going on? The Howling Moon Royal Clan shouldn't be so weak. Where's the Howling Moon King? Why hasn't the Howling Moon Lord who's half a step into the monarch realm shown himself?" Just as Ning Chen was feeling puzzled, the messenger looked at the battle in front of the imperial palace from the sky. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. "Your Highness, there's no need to think too much. The Howling Moon King failed to break through to the Emperor realm and died a few days ago. The current Howling Moon Royal Clan is so weak." Chapter 1079. On the Moonwolf Mountain, the heavenly demonic royal army of the underworld race was approaching the Howling Moon secret realm. The Howling Moon tribe tried their best to fight back, but the heaven-swallowing flask kept absorbing the spiritual chi and moonlight from the secret realm, causing the Howling Moon tribe to lose their source of power. At the critical moment, the Royal Howling Moon Army joined the battle, and the Underworld Race's army fell into a tough battle. Not allowing the battle to go out of control, the messenger's 3 demonic spears appeared in the air, and their demonic power pierced through time and space, reaching the 3 Howling Moon commanders. The 3 Howling Moon commanders were nailed to the ground by the invincible power, and the battle changed instantly. With the death of the commanders, the Howling Moon Army was leaderless and was quickly defeated by the Underworld Race's army. Broken spears were stabbed into the ground, and the flames of war burned every inch of the land, sending chills down everyone's spines. In front of the Howling Moon Palace, Ning Chen sent the Howling Moon young lord flying, and his blood stained the scorched ground. The destruction of the Underworld Race appeared clearly in front of him, and Song Ming's eyes were filled with hatred, which kept attacking his body. At this moment, a terrifying power was awakening in the depths of the Howling Moon's secret realm. It surpassed the King realm and was infinitely close to the legendary Emperor realm. "King!" The Howling Moon tribe felt it, and their faces were filled with joy. They all looked in the direction of the rising power, and their hearts were filled with hope. On the ruins of the palace, Song Ming staggered to his feet and looked back, his eyes filled with disbelief. Impossible, he saw his father pass away with his own eyes. How could his father's aura appear again? Everyone watched as a blue moon rose from the depths of the Howling Moon's secret realm. Wherever its light shone, the King realm people's strength quickly recovered, and their combat power multiplied. Beside the blue moon, a middle-aged man appeared. His face was solemn, and his powerful aura was surging, showing signs of entering the Emperor realm. The Howling Moon King appeared, and the heavens and earth mourned. Under the pressure of his vast power, the thousands of underworld race soldiers in the Howling Moon's secret realm felt their bodies sink, and their power was restrained. The underworld race army was in danger, and casualties began to appear. "Father!" On the ruins of the palace, Song Ming looked at the figure in the sky and murmured softly. Then his eyes became determined, and he looked at the person in front of him and said in a deep voice, "The battle doesn't count. From now on, I couldn't ask for more." Ning Chen replied calmly. When he came back to his senses, the azure-robed figure instantly flashed over. The vast palm force and the laws of heaven and earth coiled around it, and its divine might was shocking. Ning Chen channeled his energy and activated the Flying Swan incantation. A demonic sun appeared and an immortal technique appeared. Demonic might surged. Since ancient times, no one had ever used demonic might to catalyze an immortal technique. Today was the first time an immortal and a devil had fused together. The laws of heaven and earth were instantly thrown into chaos. When the two prodigies clashed again, the scene was completely different from before. It was an even more shocking battle as it instantly flattened the entire Howling Moon Royal Hall. In the air, the Howling Moon King appeared at the most crucial moment of the battle. With his shocking ability, he dispersed the demonic might and ensured peace. The first Demon Emperor had said that the Howling Moon King was dead. Why would the Howling Moon King appear here? "Back off now, and I'll spare your lives." The Howling Moon Emperor spoke in a cold tone. "Howling Moon King, your era is over. Today, I'll send you to the afterlife." The messenger descended from the sky above the Moon Wolf Mountain. The heaven-devouring gourd floated above his head, and boundless demonic power swept across the land. "Sky Fiend Messenger." Looking at the messenger, the Howling Moon King's eyes flashed as he spoke. "So the Howling Moon King knows me. I'm honored. Unfortunately, you have to die." With a flip of his palm, demonic flames swept out from the heaven-devouring gourd. The demonic might around the messenger continued to rise, engulfing everything within 10,000 miles. In the next moment, 4 figures walked out from the boundless demonic flames. Their auras were equally powerful, and none of them were weaker than the messenger. 4 messengers. Seeing the 4 figures, the Howling Moon King squinted his eyes and spoke seriously. A messenger and 4 messengers appeared at the same time. The auras of the Absolute Kings covered the sky, and the entire battle became tense. "Kill!" The messenger spoke. He and his palms moved, and the sound of wind and thunder accompanied them. Thunder rumbled as they killed the Howling Moon King. The 4 messengers moved at the same time, and the power of the 4 laws was activated, sealing the land and trapping the Absolute Kings. This was a shocking battle. The 5 messengers had sealed the Absolute Kings, and the Sky Fiend's #1 Emperor weapon. The Howling Moon King's eyes narrowed, and moonlight rose from his eyes. He raised his hands, and a bright moon rose. In front of the moon, the shadow of a huge sky wolf howled at the moon. The sky wolf howled at the moon, and its demonic chi filled the sky. The strongest Absolute King, the Howling Moon King's demonic chi rose, and he punched out, clashing with the 5 messengers. The sky-shattering fist shook the world. The 5 messengers worked together to resist the Absolute Kings, and the 4 messengers used their techniques to nullify the Absolute King's attacks. Their chi and blood went against the flow, and they suffered a backlash. After being injured in one move, they all took half a step back. The 4 messengers' lips were red, and they were injured. The moment the messengers of the 4 messengers retreated, the messenger took a step forward and punched out, causing the sky and earth to sink. As the punch landed, thousands of demons howled. The Howling Moon King also took half a step back, and his demonic chi surged, showing signs of instability. At this level of cultivation, feints were already useless. Every move was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Above the messenger, the sky-swallowing pot spat out demonic flames. With the support of the Emperor's might, the strength of the messengers doubled, and they were forced to the same level as the Howling Moon King. In front of the ruins of the Imperial Palace, Ning Chun glanced at the battle in the sky, and his face darkened. The Sky Fiend imperial family had so many powerful absolute kings, which was shocking. It seemed that the Howling Moon royal family's extinction was inevitable. No matter how powerful the Howling Moon King was, he could not withstand the joint attack of 5 absolute kings, not to mention the sky-swallowing pot. Thinking of this, Ning Chun yelled, and his Sky Fiend body was activated. Instantly, demonic waves swept across the land. The 6th level of the star-shaking realm could fight against the mortal world. Ning Chun activated the 6th level of his body, and his demonic chi climbed to the star-shaking realm. At the same time, he activated the 9 underworlds battle technique, and demonic flames surged, increasing his demonic chi by 3 times. 9 heavens star-picking hand rising rain. This was the first martial art of the demonic realm, and it shook the world with yin and yang. Song Ming could not react in time, and his body was pushed hundreds of feet away. Hundreds of feet away, Song Ming's body stabilized, and he lifted his hand to counter the attack. Bai Yi arrived, her palm striking out. With a loud boom, the ground between the two of them split apart, the void completely shattered. The 2 powerful absolute kings of the younger generation were almost as powerful as the absolute kings of the older generation. Every move they made could distort space and time. In this demonic Skynet, you have no chance of survival. However, the underworld forbidden spell is a gift from the heavens, and the Skynet cannot lock it down. The extinction of the Howling Moon royal family is inevitable. This is all I can do. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Chun added another 30% of his strength to his fist, and the space around the two collapsed. An endless space storm swept out, swallowing the 2 figures. Ning Chun threw out a punch, and it landed on Song Ming's chest. He stepped out of the space storm, and watched as Song Ming's figure disappeared in the space storm. Chapter 1080. The battle at Moon Wolf Mountain was a scene of slaughter. The appearance of the Howling Moon King had given the royal family a glimmer of hope. However, with the appearance of the 4 sect masters, their hopes were dashed once again. Seeing that the extermination of the Howling Moon royal family was inevitable, Ning Chun shattered the space with a palm strike and took the opportunity to send Song Ming away, leaving behind the last inheritance for the royal family. The power of the Sky Devil imperial family was frightening. The Howling Moon young master had amazing talent and would at least become a peak king realm expert in the future. With the Howling Moon young master's hatred for the Sky Devil imperial family, he would become a great help to the human race in the future. As Ning Chun sent the young master of the Howling Moon away, the battle between the Wu Ling and the Howling Moon Emperor intensified. The accumulation of their injuries gradually reached their limits. The Howling Moon King forcefully withstood the force of the 4 commanders' palms. His powerful palm landed on the bier of one of the commanders. Blood splattered everywhere and dyed the sky red. The northern commander's body fell from the sky and crashed onto the ground. 1 palace lord had died in battle, but the other 3 didn't seem to care. They didn't stop attacking like merciless killing machines. It was terrifying. The Howling Moon King's demonic chi became increasingly unstable as he forcefully endured the attacks of the 4 tokens. Clearly, he could not hold on for much longer. Below the battle, Ning Chun looked at the battle above with a solemn expression. There was something wrong with the Howling Moon King's condition. After receiving so many heavy blows, under normal circumstances, he would have died long ago. The Howling Moon King's situation was very similar to the Dragon Emperor's situation back then. Possessing a god weapon, even if his physical body had already perished, he was still able to forcefully maintain his combat strength. With a bang, a heavy palm landed on the Howling Moon King's body. The Howling Moon King was forced to take half a step back. His demonic aura trembled, but he did not show any signs of fear. He gathered the energy in his palm and retaliated forcefully. The sky-shattering palm was unstoppable. The huge wolf shadow rushed past, and the Western Palm Lord couldn't dodge in time. He was instantly swallowed by the Sky Wolf. 2 sect sovereigns had died in battle, and the 5 sect sovereigns had lost almost half of their combat strength. However, cracks began to appear on the Howling Moon King's body, and his demonic aura was leaking out. He had reached his limit. The howling Moon King glanced at the scorched Moon Wolf Mountain as a determined look flickered in his eyes. Without saying a word, he leaped into the air with a kick. Awu! His demonic chi kept spreading, covering the entire Moon Wolf Mountain. About an hour later, the Eastern Messenger's eyes flashed. He had finally found it. Demonic chi filled the sky. The Eastern Messenger smashed open the collapsed Moon Wolf Mountain with a palm. His figure flashed and flew down. Under the 1,000-mile crack, the Eastern Messenger appeared. Looking at the forbidden land that was sealed by heavy chains, he walked in step by step. After 100 steps, cold wind whistled. In the forbidden land of the Broken Moon Royal Clan, a huge blood pool appeared. Demonic chi filled the air, and its demonic nature was so strong that it was terrifying. Demon Emperor, you won't have the chance to show yourself. With a flip of his palm, the Eastern Head Commander sent out a powerful palm strike towards the blood pool. The demonic palm shook the world and slammed into the blood pool. However, a terrifying demonic chi exploded, scattering the demonic palm. The remaining force shook and the Eastern Messenger was immediately sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood, dyeing the ground red. The Demon Emperor has actually grown to such a level. The Eastern Messenger's expression sank. He no longer hesitated and raised his hands. Immediately, lightning fell from the sky. The surging lightning kept rising. Demonic chi gathered and climbed. Ugh! Just as the Eastern Messenger was about to use another killing move, a cold sword light suddenly appeared without any warning. It pierced through his body mercilessly. How is this possible? The Eastern Messenger turned his head with difficulty and saw the most familiar face. 13th Prince. Are you surprised? Coldness flashed through Ning Chen's lips. He clenched his left hand and the Moon Demon Divine artifact reappeared. He slashed at the Eastern Messenger's throat. The Eastern Messenger's head flew up and blood spurted into the air. The Eastern Messenger's eyes were filled with disbelief. He could not die in peace. Ning Chen took the Eastern Messenger's head and said, I'll leave the demonic chi and demonic souls here to you. Thank you, Master. With that, 1,000 great demons appeared in the sky. They flew in all directions and absorbed the demonic chi and demonic souls left behind by the underworld army. The 1,000 great demons left. Only one great demon did not move. He looked at the head in his master's hand and could not hide the desire in his eyes. Ning Chen glanced to the side and looked at the great demon. He said calmly, You want it? Please reward me, Master, the White Shadow Great Demon said respectfully. It's not a bad thing to be ambitious. Take it. Ning Chen said indifferently. He waved his hand and tossed the Eastern Messenger's head over. The White Shadow Great Demon took the Eastern Messenger's head. The light in his eyes burned brighter, but he did not lose his composure. He bowed first and said respectfully, Thank you, Master. Chapter 1081. Under the cold moon, the blood pool boiled at the foot of the Moon Wolf Mountain. Terrifying demonic chi filled the air, making one's heart palpitate. The Eastern Palace Master's palm woke up the sleeping Demon Emperor. Demonic chi rose and spread in all directions. Ning Chen frowned and said, The Palace Master just left. The 3 Demon Emperors are watching from the heavenly demon ancestral land. If you don't want to be discovered, you'd better behave. As soon as he said that, the demonic chi above the blood pool paused and gradually disappeared. Ning Chen walked forward and looked at the bottom of the blood pool. He saw a palm-sized red heart beating continuously in the blood pool. The terrifying pressure was so heavy that it made it hard for people to breathe. The Demon Emperor's heart? Ning Chen's eyes flashed. It turned out that the talented Demon Emperor still had such a trick up his sleeve. The Demon Emperor was a peerless genius who once coexisted with the 9th Underworld King. Unlike the 9th Underworld King who fell because of a human woman, the Demon Emperor fought all the way and finally stepped on the blood of countless geniuses to prove his imperial path. However, fate had an end. After being invincible for almost 10,000 years, the Demon Emperor's life also came to an end and he disappeared from everyone's sight. No one knew where the Demon Emperor went in the end. However, One day at dusk, demonic chi filled the sky and the sun did not set. It was as if it did not want to see the invincible demon emperor leave. From that day onwards, there was no more news about the demon emperor. The demon emperor had fallen and returned to heaven and earth. However, no one expected that the demon emperor would leave his heart behind and nurture it day and night, waiting for the day to come out again. Ningchen looked at the demon emperor's heart under the blood pool. Demon Emperor Kun-yi ordered the extermination of the Broken Moon clan. Without a doubt, his motive was the demon emperor's heart. He had to use any power that could be used against the heavenly demon imperial family. He turned his palm and condensed yuan qi. Cold qi filled the air. Ice and snow gathered around Ningchen. Endless cold qi drowned the blood pool in front of him. As the danger approached, demonic qi surged out from the blood pool again, resisting the cold qi's invasion. Demonic qi and cold qi collided. The entire Moon Wolf Mountain shook violently. Ha! In a stalemate, Ningchen shouted. Immortal slaying and immortal trapping appeared in his hands at the same time. Crack! An ear-piercing sound of ice sealing was heard. In the blood pool, the falling snow turned into ice and gradually spread, suppressing the emperor's demonic aura. The demon emperor, who had been dead for tens of thousands of years, was only left with one heart. It was difficult for him to resist the knowing destiny state in its prime. He restrained his demonic aura and protected the last 3 feet of the area. Ningchen swung his sword. On the celestial slaying sword, the sickly king's black flames spread out, and the frozen blood pool cracked. The heart of the emperor flew out and landed in his hand. After doing all this, Ningchen took a step forward and flew out of the Great Rift Valley. In the sky, Ningchen looked down at the Moonwolf Mountain that was filled with demonic aura and said calmly, "It's time to go." As soon as the order was given, thousands of great demons from all over the Moonwolf Mountain turned into streams of light and flew into the soul-suppressing banner on his body. After a sumptuous feast, the souls of the thousands of great demons became even more solid and powerful. The most powerful of them all, the White Shadow Great Demon, was already approaching the Red Dust Realm. After the thousands of great demons returned, Ningchen didn't stay any longer. His figure flashed and disappeared. Dawn arrived in the eastern sky. The first rays of the morning sun shone on the Moon Wolf Mountain, dispelling the coldness of the night. The Howling Moon secret realm was devastated everywhere. It was no longer as prosperous as it used to be. A calamity of clan annihilation came so suddenly without any warning. In front of the 3 imperial city, the 4 figures who returned from the Moon Wolf Mountain appeared. Just as they were about to enter the city, the eastern commander who was beside the southern commander suddenly grunted. The demonic aura around him leaked out violently and his body began to disintegrate. Seeing this, the expression of the imperial commander changed. Not good. The clone was destroyed. Could something have happened to the eastern commander? What happened? Ningchen turned around and looked at the 3 of them with his deep eyes and asked coldly. "It's all right, Your Highness. We have to report back. We'll take our leave first." The Imperial commander flipped his palm and stabilized the Eastern commander's clone that was about to collapse. Then, he brought the other 2 and rushed towards the heavenly demon ancestor. Outside the city, Ningchen's lips curled into a cold smile. It seemed like he had succeeded. "Demon body, you've worked hard." Not long after, a white-clothed figure walked out of the void and said to the figure in front of her. The demon body nodded and did not say anything. In the next moment, the 2 figures merged into one again. Ningchen stepped into the city and walked straight to his residence. Ningchen returned to the 13th prince's residence. In the residence, Shiyu and Shiqing saw him and immediately bowed. "Your Highness." "Get up." Ningchen looked at the 2 of them and said calmly, "Don't tell anyone that I left the residence yesterday. Do you understand?" Shiyu and Shiqing looked at each other and immediately accepted the order respectfully. "Continue with your work." Ningchen waved his hand and said. Shiyu and Shiqing bowed again and left. Just as Ningchen returned to his residence, 3 figures rushed over from the heavenly demon ancestors' land. They were so fast that they were fighting against the heavens. "Dongheng, hang in there." The southern commander looked at the eastern commander, who was getting more and more unstable, and said in a deep voice, "We're almost there." The imperial commander looked at the heavenly demon ancestors' land in front of him and said, "Nanfang, think of a way to stabilize his consciousness." Before he finished speaking, the eastern commander, who had already reached his limit, grunted. His collapsed body could no longer hold on and collapsed violently. Seeing this, the southern commander and the imperial commander's expressions changed. It was too late. At this moment, an earth-shattering demonic aura awakened in the depths of the heavenly demon ancestors' land. Under the demonic aura, the eastern commander's consciousness was frozen. "Come in and report." The first demon emperor's voice sounded calmly. The two of them respectfully accepted the order and quickly rushed toward the heavenly demon ancestors' land. In the depths of the heavenly demon ancestors' land, the two of them half knelt and reported the details of the battle last night. "That howling moon young master is not dead?" The first demon emperor said coldly. Demon Emperor, the 13th prince and howling moon young master were evenly matched in strength. It was difficult for either of them to gain the absolute upper hand. If the spatial storm had not swallowed howling moon young master at the last moment, it would have been hard to say who would have won, the imperial commander explained truthfully. "Fine." The first demon emperor nodded and said, "Being swallowed by the spatial storm, there is almost no chance of him walking out alive. He has completed his mission. I did not expect the Howling Moon King, who had already died, to appear again." It seems that old man had already predicted that the heavenly demon imperial family would attack the Moon Wolf Mountain. Demon Emperor, since something happened to the eastern commander, could the heart of the demon emperor have fallen into the hands of others? The imperial commander asked seriously. "Most likely," the first demon emperor replied. Unfortunately, the eastern commander's consciousness was too weak and could not trace the source. He could not see who did it. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Knowing that the heart of the demon emperor is in the Howling Moon royal family, the Sky Demon imperial family is not the only force. I have miscalculated this time. At the same time, in the 13th prince's palace, runes appeared around Ning Chen's body. The yellow spring seal was activated and sealed the palace. After a while, a blood-red light shone brightly. A blood-red demon heart appeared in the dazzling light. Demon chi spread out and filled the entire palace. Chapter 1082. Inside the 13th prince's palace, a demonic aura filled every corner of the palace. After hundreds of thousands of years, the heart of the demon king was still full of vitality, waiting for the possibility of resurrection. Blood chi flowed around the heart of the demon as it absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to nourish the heart of the demon. Ning Chen looked at the heart of the demon king floating in front of him and pondered for a while. He raised his right hand and the immortal tree origin in his body flowed out and entered the heart of the demon. Boundless vitality was like a divine furnace. As the origin of the tree of heaven entered, the heart of the demon king started to tremble violently. It devoured the origin of the tree of heaven like rain after a long drought. After an hour, the origin of the tree of heaven in Ning Chen's body gradually withdrew and stopped feeding the heart of the demon. However, the heart of the demon refused to let go. A strong suction force came out and tried to snatch the origin of the tree of heaven. Ning Chen's face turned cold. Boundless cold air spread out from his right hand and froze the palace. "I can feed you and I can destroy you. Don't be ungrateful." Ning Chen said coldly, and the cold air around him became stronger. Frost formed in the palace and it turned into a world of ice and snow. Sensing the danger, the heart of the demon king immediately withdrew its devouring force and continued to act recklessly. Ning Chen snorted and waved his hand to disperse the cold air. He looked at the heart of the demon in front of him and thoughts flashed through his eyes. The heart of the demon king was not to be underestimated. If he used it well, it would be a great help to him in the future. Not long after Ning Chen and the rest returned to the primordial demon region, the news of the Howling Moon royal family being annihilated spread to all the major forces like a storm. The few royal families and sovereign families were shocked. It was almost impossible to annihilate a royal family that was comparable to a sovereign family in one night. The heavenly demonic royal family. Everyone looked at the primordial demon region. In this world, only the heavenly demonic royal family had the ability to annihilate a powerful royal family without anyone knowing. In the mysterious sorcerer tribe's secret realm in the northern mainland, Sorcerer Lord Go Huang looked at the secret report from the Moon Wolf Mountain with a grave expression. The heavenly demonic royal family had started to act so quickly. Master! Behind him, the saintess of the sorcerer tribe, Tian Exen, walked over and bowed. You called me? The annihilation of the Howling Moon Royal clan means that the Celestial Devil Imperial clan has already begun to prepare for the war between the two realms. In the coming days, the Celestial Devil Imperial clan will do their best to eliminate all potential threats in the primordial devil realm. Our shaman clan has always been at odds with the Celestial Devil Imperial clan, so it's very likely that we will face a great calamity. Emperor Go said in a serious tone as he looked at the powerful demonic clouds that covered half the sky in the distant central continent. Master, you're already an Imperial Dao sovereign. Would the Heavenly Devil Imperial tribe really dare to risk universal condemnation and attack the Sorcerer tribe so brazenly? Tian Exen asked solemnly. Emperor Go sighed and said, currently, the Celestial Devil Imperial family has 4 demon emperors. They are unprecedentedly strong. Even if the other Imperial families join forces, they can only barely keep them in check. Moreover, the Imperial families are already suspicious of each other, and it is difficult for them to unite. As long as the Celestial Devil Imperial family takes advantage of this, it will be easy for them to defeat the other Imperial families. Hearing this, Tian Exen fell silent. After a while, he said, Master, why don't we seal off the Sorcerer tribe and temporarily avoid this demon calamity? We can't avoid it. Emperor Go shook his head and lamented, the 3 demon emperors are ambitious. At this sensitive time when the war between the two realms is imminent, they will not tolerate the existence of the Sorcerer tribe. Speaking of this, Emperor Go looked at the disciple behind him and continued, Tian Exen, I have called you here today because I have something else for you to do. Later on, go to the 3rd Imperial City and look for the 13th Prince. He has 2 maids from the Phoenix tribe. In the ancient times, the Phoenix tribe was subordinate to the Phoenix tribe and had a deep grudge with the Heavenly Devil clan. Since the Heavenly Devil Imperial family has started to take action, the Phoenix tribe is most likely to be the next Imperial family to be destroyed. Currently, the 9th Underworld King only has 1 disciple. Perhaps, the 13th Prince can persuade the 9th Underworld King to intervene and stop this calamity. Tian Exen accepted the order, but the worry in his eyes grew. At the same time, in the Green Hill secret region, the Fox King was reading the secret report from the Moon Wolf Mountain. He could not suppress the waves in his heart for a long time. The Howling Moon Royal family has been destroyed. What is the Heavenly Devil Imperial family trying to do? The Grand Elder of the Fox tribe asked. No matter what the Heavenly Devil Imperial family's goal is, and the 13th Prince's marriage cannot be delayed any longer. King, to prevent any accidents from happening, this matter must be settled as soon as possible. The white-haired old woman said solemnly. The Fox King nodded and said, First Demon King Kuan has already agreed to and the 13th Prince's marriage in front of the 3rd Imperial Palace. I will ask Xiao Xiao to go to the 3rd Imperial City and settle this matter as soon as possible. Almost at the same time, the news of the Howling Moon Royal family's annihilation reached the Purple Scale Abyss, the Divine Capital Mountain, the Golden Lion Tribe, and the other Imperial families. While they were shocked, they began to feel threatened. Things were different now. The Heavenly Devil Imperial family now had 4 demon kings. They were unprecedentedly powerful and could not be compared to any other imperial family. In the Purple Scale Abyss, an extremely powerful emperor's aura was faintly discernible. The abyss was bottomless, and danger lurked everywhere. No one dared to take half a step in. First Demon King Kuan, don't forget our agreement. A majestic voice came from the abyss. It could not be stopped even though it was separated by endless time and space. In the heavenly devil ancestral land, first demon King Kuan opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the purple scale abyss. He said indifferently, "I remember it clearly. However, the whereabouts of the Dragon Emperor sword is unknown, and the seal of the Queen Mother of the West cannot be completely broken. The war between the two realms can only be postponed for now. If we can't find the Dragon Emperor sword, how about the hairpin of the West?" The Scale Emperor said in a deep voice. Hearing this, first demon King Kuan's eyes shone brightly. He said seriously, "You know the whereabouts of the hairpin of the West? There is a heavenly river in front of the Red Luan starfield in the sky beyond heaven. It is not naturally formed, so it is very likely that it was drawn by the hairpin of the West. I will think of a way to find it. Demon King, you also need to speed up the process. After all, we do not have much time left. We cannot delay any longer," the Scale Emperor said in a deep voice. "Don't worry." First Demon King Kuan replied, "I will eliminate all the unstable elements in the primordial demon realm as soon as possible. Once the seal of the Queen Mother of the West is broken, the war will begin immediately." "That's good." In the purple scale abyss, the last sound came out from the bottomless abyss. Soon after, the abyss returned to silence. In the 9 Underworld King Palace, the 9 Underworld King, who had been recuperating in seclusion for a long time, opened his eyes. Hearing the cries of the world, his eyes darkened. "Ningchen, come to the King Palace," the 9 Underworld King said in a deep voice. In the 13th Prince Palace, Ningchen heard the order from the 9 Underworld King Palace and sighed in his heart. He got up and walked out of the palace. He knew that he could not hide this matter from his master for too long. An Emperor Realm expert could communicate with heaven and earth.